They say if you can smell toast, you might be about to have a stroke.
Well, I smell toast all the time. I love the smell of toast, don't you?
What do you mean you smell it all the time?
Well, you smell toast. You put toast in the toaster.
I'm talking about when you're not making toast.
Oh, no. Well,
like when you're walking down the street and you smell toast.
Oh, you've got to be mad. I thought you meant that you smell toast when you put in your toaster, you fool. What are you laughing at? What do you expect me to think? What do you think?
It's not about smelling toast when you're actually toasting bread.
Well, when else would you smell toast?
From the talk of the town to the whisper of the village.
Counter number 4, please.
Breaking global sports news and the answers to questions you never even thought to ask.
Has anyone got a spoon for my kiwi fruit?
The two mics.
Just like in that film.
On Talk Sport.
Look at the light!
Oh, where do you think Trendy is then?
Well, Trendy is in London,
In
right?
Camden. Camden Town.
Camden is trendy.
Rubbish.
Yeah, it is.
We went to Camden, did a show there. It's like a pit.
Yeah, it's
not trendy.
It's a very up-and-coming area.
Up and coming. It's full of filth.
Yeah, it is full of filth.
Yeah, exactly.
Particularly full of filth when you were there. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, and I'm delighted to say that after seeing him quite late on Saturday, I'm quite surprised to see Mr. Porky Parry here looking very fit and well. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
And a very good morning to you, Mike. I don't know why you're surprised at all, but a wonderful day out at Crystal Palace on Saturday. Thank you very much.
Well, except my last vision of you was of you walking off into the gloom.
I did.
Heading to a railway station.
I did.
Which, to all intents and purposes, could have been at 4 or 5 or 6 miles away. Nobody really knew exactly which way you were going.
I knew exactly where it was.
I got myself into a car to take it home.
Yes.
And I was a bit concerned that, I might never hear from you again.
No, I headed down the hill. I knew there was a station at the bottom called Selhurst. That took me down into Stockbroker Belt, Surrey. A train turned up about 2 minutes after I got there, and then about 8 stops later, there I was in the heart of Stockbroker Belt, Surrey.
Well, how happy you must have been.
I was very happy
But
indeed.
it was freezing cold, though. I mean, it was the sort of weather that they have in that show that you've been telling us about with the polar bears.
That's right,
What's it called? What's it called? Endeavour or something? They got a new series starting.
Yeah, no, Endeavour is the Morse
show. What's the one?
This one's called... It's the name of the town.
It's a one-word show,
That's right, 715 residents, because they show the name of the town like they do in America with the number of people. Fortitude, that's the one,
That's it, yeah.
But, no, I want to thank Crystal Palace
you could have been
enormously.
found, like frozen stiff. It was a -8.
Yeah, but I wasn't. And I want to thank Crystal Palace.
Well, you've already done that.
No, but it was a great day.
It was. They were very kind.
They were very hospitable.
Yeah.
Sorry about the result, but Everton got 3 points there, and Mr. Parrish, the chairman, was a terrific gentleman all the way through.
He was, and we're going to hear from him a little bit later on
We
when
certainly
he
are.
slaughters you on your China policy.
I don't think so.
But also, I think they were slightly less concerned with losing to Everton than they were with Swansea beating Liverpool.
Well, could have been.
Which was even more surprising.
Yeah, it was very surprising, wasn't it? And then you took a really fake photograph of me.
Well, when you say a fake photograph, what do you mean?
What you did was, and this is a setup, and I wish to apologise to my millions of Twitter fans, you said, come on, give us...
millions of Twitter fans?
Yes, that's right, yeah. You said, give me a punch-the-air
That's not true.
gesture towards Everton winning today.
No, incorrect.
But you set me up. You didn't tell me I was standing in front of a TV screen where the Liverpool-Swansea game was being recapped.
No, what I did was...
And so it made it look like I was mocking Liverpool.
You were mocking Liverpool.
Wasn't.
That's why I took the picture.
No.
Because you were
Rubbish.
celebrating in a way which can only be described as very inappropriate, shall we say,
it was very
for the
inappropriate because
surroundings.
I didn't realise I was doing it.
All you got to do is look at the woman's face behind you and the guy's face, and they're absolutely gobsmacked that somebody would behave that way in the Legends Lounge.
Well, it wasn't in the Legends Lounge, actually.
Yeah, it was.
No, it was the Directors Lounge.
No, it was the Legends Lounge.
No, it wasn't, man.
No, we did the show from the Legends Lounge, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that picture was taken in the Legends Lounge before we went to the game.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Well, how could it have been?
Because it was an early game.
No, but...
It was a 12:30 kickoff.
Yes, I know, but the point is they were recapping all the games at the end
No, they
at
were.
5 and 6 o'clock,
No.
and Liverpool was one of them.
Well, why was it still light then?
What?
Do you want to check the picture?
No, Liverpool played in the evening.
No, they played at 12:30.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Liverpool-Swansea was the early game.
Liverpool-Swansea was not the early game.
Yes, it was.
What was the early game?
It was at Liverpool-Swansea.
You sure?
Yeah. Are you
I
sure
thought
you
that
want
was
to
a
go down
5:30
this road?
game.
No, that was the Manchester City Spurs.
That's it. It was.
You sure you don't want to go
absolutely
down
right.
this road?
No.
You're now revealing the course of the day.
Yes.
So basically, you'd already lost the plot by 1 o'clock.
No. You're absolutely right. That was exactly the plan of the day.
Yeah.
And it was only the location, the ground itself, that slightly confused me.
Is that right?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Now, we've got a lot of stories to talk about tonight. For instance,
We have.
What about this new book on Yuri Geller in which he says he was hit by a bolt of light and that gave him his powers?
Well, I mean, you introduced me to that a few moments ago.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it before.
What about this fact that in your favourite manor, which is Primrose Hill.
Yeah, one of my favourite places, yeah.
Yeah, nobody will ever get done again for riding a bike on a pavement because the cops have said, we decided not
You
to
told me it was
prosecute people
Camden
like
Town.
that. Well, Camden Town, Primrose Hill's apparently the same place.
It's not, no, absolutely not.
Well, one is
Camden Town is a den of iniquity.
Yeah.
Right, we've been there, we've played Dingwalls there.
Yeah.
It's full of all sorts of people hanging around on street corners and, lots of people that you would describe as the great unwashed.
Yes.
Primrose Hill is the home of rock stars and very high-priced barristers and very, very wealthy people because nobody else can afford to live there.
No, that's absolutely right. Now, I got plenty of praise over the weekend for being the man who spotted the courgette shortage, OK?
No, you spotted the spinach shortage.
Spinach and courgette.
No, I reminded you about the courgette shortage some days later.
I spotted both, and I've got plenty of praise over the weekend from people who've actually said, you were on the ball there, Porky, thank you.
Is that right?
So, during the course of tonight's show, I'm going to...
What frighteners are you going to put on us for tonight?
Coffee. I'm going to ring the alarm bells.
Well, you know why?
Yeah.
Coffee is now probably being bought in larger numbers because of all these people that own coffee machines.
Exactly, that's
Do you remember
right.
the coffee machine conversation we had?
Yeah, of course I do, yeah.
Right. Do you remember all the people that said they now have a coffee machine?
Yes.
Funnily enough, I was in a shop today where they sell coffee machines.
Yes.
Right? Very, very expensive shop,
Right.
not far from where I am in Sussex.
Yeah.
Right? One of these kitchen shops.
Sure.
And I was looking at this very fine-looking sort of chrome coffee machine.
Yeah.
And I couldn't quite see the first digit. I can see you looking at me like, why on earth are you telling me this story?
Yes.
But all I could see was 99.75, right?
99.75.
This was the price, yeah.
But what was it actually?
Well, I was trying to guess what the third number would be. Do you know what it was? Five.
No.
£599 and 75p.
£600 for a coffee machine?
£600 for a coffee machine.
Rubbish, honestly. I don't know why people
I think you should
do it.
get me one for Christmas.
But listen, I thought we'd kick off. No, definitely not. I thought we'd kick off with a tale that could really have come from the early days of the Two Mics on Tour, OK?
Oh, yeah.
Now, a chap called Sam Leach has sadly passed away.
Sam Leach, is he not the old football commentator?
No, he's not. No. He is described in his obituary in the Times today as the hapless Beatles manager before Brian Epstein.
We're not having a Beatles story straight off.
Honestly, it's not about that. It's about us.
We can't.
It says, Leach's bid to become the group's full-time manager collapsed in ruins on the night of December the 9th, 1961, OK? The date he had booked the Beatles to appear at the Palais Ballroom in Aldershot, OK?
Right.
Have you ever been to Aldershot?
I don't think I have. It's a big
bother.
army town, isn't it?
Yeah, don't bother, honestly.
No, I
bother.
don't think I've ever been there.
It was the first time the Beatles had played in southern England and was intended to be an important career milestone. The idea was to get the London agents to come to see them, Leach explained. In the event, the night turned into perhaps the biggest disaster of the whole Beatles era.
Uh-huh.
First, Tito Burns, who was the most important booking agent in London, with clients including Cliff Richard and the Shadows, refused the invitation. He said, Sam, we've got 5,000 groups in London. Who needs a group with a stupid name like the Beatles? It was to get worse. When the local paper refused to accept Leach's cheque, the advert for the concert failed to appear. Without publicity, there was a queue of exactly 6 people waiting to see the Beatles when the Palais doors opened. He said, I had to send people around the pubs and coffee bars in Aldershot, inviting people to come to a free dance. He said, in the end, we had 18 people in a giant ballroom. Right. Leach, whose powers of concentration were limited, had also failed to book his young charges anywhere to stay for the night. It's getting more and more like a Two Mics Tour event, OK?
Well, he's suggested about children.
Eh?
What do you mean?
His charges.
Yeah, his charges.
Charges, yeah. The Beatles were unimpressed and after the show staged a mock funeral before driving back to Liverpool in the back of a van. 5 days later, the group signed a management contract with a man called Brian Epstein. Right. Paul and John
Well,
had
there's
left...
the other bloke in this. There's that guy we spoke about the other week who died. What happened to him?
It was Alan Williams.
Alan Williams, yeah. Where was he?
He was, well, I don't know. He was another manager. But Paul and John had left an urgent message for me, said Sam, to meet them at the Grapes pub in Liverpool's Matthew Street. And actually, I go there quite often.
Do you?
When I'm up in Liverpool, Matthew Street.
The Grapes pub?
I think the Grapes pub is still there, unless it's been renamed.
No.
But I certainly love going down Matthew Street all those bars.
Okay. Well, it's still turned out into a Beatles story, this, isn't it?
Well, hang on. Round the corner from Brian's headquarters, Leach recalled. When I strolled in, Paul and John looked a little uneasy, and Paul, with a stammer, said, Sam, there's this guy who wants to manage us. We know we have a handshake agreement with you, but he's a millionaire. Leach acted as agent on several more gigs in 1962, but basically that was the end of it. So, it just
Well,
proves
that's possibly the worst story you've ever started a show with.
No, it's not.
It's rubbish.
It's not.
Absolute cobblers.
It's not, because it reminded me of the early days of the Two Mics on Tour when you were in charge of arrangements.
No, it doesn't remind
That's what used to happen.
No, what used to happen was we would go to hotels that you booked, which were absolutely bloody awful.
No.
And they still are.
No.
Now, how about this from Western James?
Yeah.
Porky's already lost the plot. He can't remember where he was or what he was doing 48 hours ago.
Well, I mean, look, we had a very busy day.
Sam,
We were in several different lounges.
But why do you insist on arguing with me? Sam says, Parry's always talking rubbish 5 minutes in. Why does he always say what when he's losing an argument? Plank.
No, I don't.
Terrible start to the show. I must apologise on the behalf of the Two Mics. However, it will get better. We've got a tribute to Hello star Gordon Kane coming up.
That was terrible news, wasn't it?
It was terrible news.
75 years of age.
But we've got a big surprise coming for people. So
he got hit in the head, by a flying billboard.
Why didn't he turn into Uri Geller?
No, you fool. The billboard came off in a gale, smashed through the windscreen of his car and hit him in the head.
Right.
It was a terrible incident.
I see.
Yeah.
Here's one from David. He says, Camden Town and Primrose Hill are kept apart by a railway line. Well, it's not just that. It's by the amount of money that you have to pay to live there as well.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics. Simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. Andy says this at the Two Mics. Porky the Greats pub is still open, and it's a great boozer with brilliant Fab Four pictures here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah,
See what he did there.
I've been to it. I just didn't want to embarrass myself by remembering it's the wrong building, but I know which one it is now. Yeah,
remembering it was the wrong building.
No, remembering it as the wrong building.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I know.
You missed his reference to the Beatles there.
Sorry,
you missed his reference to the Beatles.
No, I didn't. In which he said, "There's all the pictures on the wall."
No. He said there are great Fab Four pictures here, there, and everywhere.
Oh, I see.
Here. Yeah, don't sing. Don't sing. Look at this. I mean, James says, for heaven's sake, I can't read out the bit he just said. Didn't Porky say that he was going to refrain from mentioning the Beatles?
Yes.
It's less than 15 minutes into the show.
Yeah, well, that's right, yeah.
God's
it
sake.
was about 8 minutes of the show, actually, but I thought it's such a funny story about the poor chap who gave the Beatles away. So many people seem to have given the Beatles away.
There's a very big crowd of them, actually. They could have their own concert.
Including the guy at Decca, of course, who's mentioned in this obituary. He said, no. Guitar groups are on the way out.
Yeah, it's not what we're looking for.
That's
Kenny says 10 minutes into the show, and Porky's managed to get 10 facts wrong already.
Yes, that's right, I have actually. Yeah.
Now, we should talk a little bit about... hang about this one from Harry.
Yeah.
I very rarely get to listen live, but I am now. Mike Parry seems even more manic in real time.
No.
Is this normal?
No, it's just the start of the week, and there's an awful lot to impart into the noggins of the millions of listeners we have on this show.
Now, Manny says Porky can't even remember who played on Saturday morning. No wonder he was talking about boiling the pitch at Crystal Palace. We did have a very interesting conversation with the groundsman.
With the groundsman, yeah.
In which you seem to have taken the view that they should boil water underneath the pitch.
No, I didn't. I made the
and make steam rise from it.
I made the very sensible observation. If the pitch is warm, as it is with undersoil heating, then the water that lands on it will eventually evaporate. Simple as that.
I see. And here's one from Jim. He says, Porky clearly has no idea where he's been over the last 70 hours or so. Hashtag missing in action. El Plankio.
Well,
and Adrian says, Sam Leach died back in December. Has he died again?
Well, he's only just got his obituary in the Times, which is the Thunderer.
Sometimes there's a bit of a queue for that.
There is.
Now, matters arising from our visit to Crystal Palace,
yes.
Which, as you say, was a very enjoyable day. Yes. And I got home quite reasonably, actually, about 7:30.
Yeah, I got home about that time.
Spent a little bit of time. We met Jim White there, didn't we?
Met Jim White.
Yeah, he was looking a bit frightened when we saw him.
Well,
he was in a hell of a hurry to get out of the room.
He was in a hell of a hurry to get out of the room. But the thing is, I then woke up on Sunday morning. I thought somebody sent me this, spoof Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
It showed a picture of Jim, on a turntable, like a disc jockey, spinning this and all this, and said that he was doing a show on Virgin. Yeah. So I honestly thought it was a wind-up. I thought, they're winding up. I mean, Jim is known for being, figurative in the transfer window and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, you thought it was like a transfer-related thing?
Well, I don't know what it was. I thought it was a bit... Anyway, so I just said, no, this is a wind-up. You won't find Jim White spinning discs. This man's a serious broadcaster.
Yeah.
And then apparently he was.
Yeah, he was, I didn't hear any of it.
Oh, well, good luck to him. I hope it went well.
Well, maybe we should do a show on Virgin.
Well, exactly, yeah.
That'd be good. Anyway, one of the things that I did want to bring to your attention was that when we were sitting in the seats, very nice seats that we had watching the game, there were two guys behind us, joined by a third guy.
Ah, yes.
And they had a young lad with them of about, I would say, 11ish or something like that. These guys, I mean, people talk about the gentrification of football, right? And I get accused of not going to enough football matches, so why would I have anything to say about it?
Yes.
But these guys were singly, I would say, the most irritating people I've ever sat in front of at a football match, right?
They were what, sorry?
The single most irritating people.
Okay. Why was that?
Because they continually talked all the way through the game.
About matters not pertaining to the game.
Not particularly pertaining to the game, but sort of as if they were trying to impress each other, right?
Yes.
They all had sort of fake Mockney accents.
Right.
One of them was a Crystal Palace fan.
Oh, yeah.
And I was trying to work out precisely what it was that they did. It turned out in the end that they were actors, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they were there because they liked to come to the odd football game. One of them...
What, like Cumberbatch's mates?
So, sort of, yeah. But they didn't speak as old Etonians speak, but they were clearly putting on sort of mock South London voices so they would fit in with the crowd.
A bit of sort of Guy Ritchie type stuff.
Yeah, and occasionally this guy would shout, "Come on, Palace!"
Yeah.
And then go back to the conversation he was having with the guy, which was about some role he was playing at some theatre, right? And then he then was explaining to the young lad about how both of them had always loved football and that they tried to get to as many football matches as possible.
Yeah.
One of them said that he was a Luton supporter.
Oh, yeah.
And
what was he doing at Palace?
His favourite thing to do was when Luton went to play Oxford and Cambridge, because when he went to Oxford and Cambridge for the away games, he could get involved in some theatre while he was there.
Oh.
It was very, very bizarre.
Well, it's the big, theatre land in Oxford and Cambridge.
Well, it's where the Cambridge footlights come from, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's all to do with university people.
Well, yeah, but
this guy sounds a bit too thick to have been to university in
Well, no,
Cambridge.
I don't think so. No, I think the point is that's where they emanated from.
Oh,
so they go back to Oxford and Cambridge to their roots and do a bit of sort of, strapping of the boards.
So, pretty bright people then.
Well, I'm not questioning whether they're bright. They were bloody annoying is all I'm saying. You were completely oblivious to it because you were so wrapped up in the game.
Well,
but I couldn't help but listen to them.
Sure.
I didn't recognise them. I don't think they were particularly famous.
I don't think they've been anything really.
But they were in the director's box, so maybe they were people that were relatively famous.
Well, maybe. Bernie Ecclestone.
Yes, Bernie Ecclestone
has been kind of retired.
You told me this wouldn't happen. I told you it would.
No, I told you it was the end for Bernie as an active man. But anyway, he's been made something like chairman emeritus or something, hasn't he?
Well, he's been given a role.
That's what I mean.
Which means he's out of the day-to-day running of Formula One.
Yeah, but it's an honorary role.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
No, to signify the enormous contribution he's made to the building of F1, which is one of the world's most successful businesses.
Yeah, but the point is he's been taken out. In corporate speak, he has been removed from any meaningful position.
Well, I saw a very straightforward interview with him in which he was asked, will you stay on when the new owners move in? He said, well, the people who bought the shares will make their mind up who they want to stay and who they don't.
But he's not
staying
on.
If they don't want to stay, I'll be leaving.
Yeah, he's leaving.
He's very up with it. That's not a problem at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, he's so successful, it doesn't matter. If I was Donald Trump, I'd give Bernie Ecclestone a call.
Would you?
Well, without a shadow of a doubt.
And ask him what?
Well, just say, look, you are a great organiser. You can make things happen. You make things work. Come over and talk to me.
Okay.
I'd like to draw...
So he could run the world like he ran Formula One?
Well, if he ran the world like he runs Formula One, the world will be a very successful place.
Really?
It will expand, it will get wealthier, it will get better, people will have better lives and jobs, and so it's not quite as daft as you think it is, you making that statement.
Okay. Well, my statement wasn't daft, but if you want to hear a daft statement, let's have a listen to this, because when we were down at Crystal Palace, Steve Parrish came on to the TalkSport warm-up show.
The chairman of Crystal Palace.
The chairman of Crystal Palace, and I asked him about whether the Chinese situation was affecting the transfer market.
Okay.
The shopping list is kind of formed by people that you think you can get, that you might be able to get. We've actually had some real success in the January window before. Scott Dan came in the January window, Joe Ledley. It's definitely got tougher. Certainly, the money that the Premier League have got is almost exaggerated now, where every player and every club, certainly abroad, think that, unless they're getting 20 million... they're being done, So it's a very, very difficult market generally now, I think, because of the success of the Premier League.
And also the introduction of China into an already expensive world is going to skew it too, isn't it?
I guess, yeah. There's a certain type of player, isn't there, that they're going for the names, aren't they, really? So I don't think that is totally relevant to where we are right now.
Is it going to push the price of everything up, though, in a way?
Depends how many they buy, doesn't it? At the moment, it's a fairly low volume. and it tends to be, the Tevez, the kind of superstar players. But yeah, you never know if it continues. I've been told they're clamping down on it a little bit.
I think FIFA want to try and make sure that all the world's best players don't suddenly go there on, sort of 300,000 a week or something, or even 600,000 a week.
Why can't they go there?
No, I think FIFA are trying to make sure that they don't. Because, well, because then they'll be taken out of the best leagues in the world.
We had this round on the air, didn't we?
FIFA want to discriminate against China.
No, not at all. You're not discriminating against China. What you're saying is
why is that not discriminating against China?
Well,
so any other league in the world can buy whoever they want, but China can't?
No, what I'm saying is, Steve, is this, that China's not a developed football country and Europe is a very developed football country.
It doesn't matter, does it?
But we had this argument on the air, didn't we? No, we had this argument on the air. I said to him, you can't say that the Premier League can pick players from Spain, from South America, from France, and then say China can't do the same thing. It's not fair.
No, but China is still a football wasteland in terms of what it's got to offer to the world.
Don't go there tomorrow, will you?
Sorry?
There's a lot of places in Britain he can't go, by the way, after he's insulted them.
No, I don't insult them at all.
There's a whole long list.
China want to develop their game, in the same way, when people come in and they developed clubs here and the league was developed, the league was developed by people investing money. When Mr. Abramovich came in and developed Chelsea, he put a lot of money. The Abu Dhabi people have put in a lot of money to Man City. You can't legislate against people that want to invest in their country, their league.
I know it's called a free market, but you still would prefer the European leagues to have the best players in the world because they're the most popular and people watch them on TV.
But how are you going to make the game more popular across the world if we only ever have the best players in the world and you legislate against everybody else having them?
That could take 3 or 4 decades for China to become, a popular
but you've got to let them have the freedom to do it.
Well, yes, you have got to let them have the freedom.
So you want a free market apart from China?
No, not at all.
And also anywhere else he doesn't like. No, Russia as well.
No, not at all. What I'm saying is the sort of players that we have in the Premier League in this country and in Europe should want to play for the best clubs who have established themselves
that's a different argument.
Over 200 or 300 years.
I'll tell you what, listen, I don't know what you earn, right? I mean, the numbers that are being bandied around, right? If somebody came to you and was going to, not even quadruple, 10 times your salary, the money they're offering players, reportedly, net salaries is crazy. I mean, we've had a player that has been offered apparently 3-4 times his net salary. Well, you're talking about, even if you're
in this
wealthy,
country or somewhere else.
It's in China, and he's turned it down because he wants to stay here and he wants to play in a big league. But that's everybody's choice, isn't it?
That was the story that we got off him at the end, where he said one of the Crystal Palace players had actually been tapped up by China. Right. But you were completely and utterly humiliated there.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were.
No, I wasn't.
Because you started to change.
I quite resent you saying that because that's not the case at all.
You started to change your argument.
No, I didn't change the argument. I made the argument from the start and I said it early on in that interview.
Of a discrimination against China.
That China is a football wasteland. It is. It's trying to become a football power, but it will take 3 or 4 decades. Why do you continue to
cling on to the same argument even when you know that it's so weak that you can never win it?
It's a very strong argument.
One of the chairmen of a football team in the Premier League, who you might think would be protectionist about the Premier League, questioned why you would even try to do that.
Nobody questioned was the business principle of protectionism, and I quite agree with that.
Well,
but
you
what
don't
I'm
like
saying
protectionism.
Is, but if you're a football purist, you want the leagues
so you're saying that he's not.
Europe.
So you're saying that the chairman of Crystal Palace is not a football purist?
No, I'm not saying that at all. You saying that, and don't put words in my mouth. What I'm saying
telling you that he humiliated you, and you should just admit it and move on.
No, he didn't. Honestly, he didn't humiliate me. Nobody listened to that. Our millions of listeners out there will know that he didn't.
Well, we can ask people what they think of what he said.
We had a very cogent argument about the two sides. He said at the end, now you've got a different point here. He appreciated exactly where I was coming from.
Yeah, because you changed the argument because you were losing. No, because you were losing the original argument, and that's why you changed it. That's what you always do.
I didn't change it.
How about this from Peter? Prior to your Palace trip, did Porky give the Southend United groundsman the benefit of his knowledge and experience?
I did, didn't I?
Did you?
Well, in the sense that I said you'd done a fine job here. It was -8 in the morning when he arrived at Palace.
Did you hear what I just said?
What?
It said, prior to your Palace trip, did Porky give the Southend United groundsman the benefit of his knowledge and experience?
Oh, the Southend United groundsman, the one who's been sacked?
Yes.
Yeah, well, he should have got his pitch ready in time, and there's a big...
He should have boiled it.
Well, there's a big debate going on as to whether or not he could have done anything more than he did and whether or not he's been treated unfairly.
Indeed.
According to the club, he should have got the pitch ready, but I don't think there's an awful lot more he could have done, according to the people I've spoken to. He put covers on it. He put heaters in the areas of the ground which are most affected, where the sun don't shine.
Yeah.
Heard that expression.
I have heard that. It's a family show, though. So
don't go where the sun don't shine. And he still wasn't able to make the pitch playable.
Yeah.
So I feel a bit sorry for him.
So that's a yes, then?
That's a yes what?
This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport, we are the two mics. We should also talk, I suppose, about what many people were saying over the weekend, which was the Porky Jinx was very strong with you this weekend. Not so much with the football business, but it's moved on now to tennis because you might remember last week when we were doing a show, Novak Djokovic was, sort of suffered a shock exit from the Australian Open.
Yes.
And you said, well, now it's even more certain that my prediction that Andy Murray will win the Australian Open is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he gets knocked out by the 50th ranked player in the world.
No, he was much lower down than 50th, wasn't he?
Well, I read a version that said he was 50th. I read another version that said he was 80th.
I thought
so I think he's somewhere between the two.
I thought he was outside the top 100.
No, I think he's... Well, I read that he was 50th, and then another version said he was 80th. So he's certainly a long way back.
He was very low down, absolutely right,
But people said he played a fantastic game, and he actually won it rather than Andy Murray losing it.
Yeah, well, these things happen, don't they? See, there's some talk tonight that Borough have been approached by another Chinese consortium.
Is that right?
Anyway.
Would you like to ban them from being able to buy football clubs in this country?
No, of course not. They bring investment into the game. That's great.
Well, then the more they do that, the more likely they are to take that money and move it back into China and redevelop their own game.
Indeed, you're absolutely right. Now, I noticed that you have been avoiding the issue which is going to be a big one on the show tonight, and that is the fact that Matthew Syed, who is a great friend of this show and of this station.
He does like coming on occasionally, doesn't he?
Columnist of the Year in the Times, the Thunderer, one of the world's most famous newspapers. A former Oxbridge graduate or an Oxbridge graduate.
Why does that matter?
Because it means he's very bright.
No, it doesn't actually. There's lots of people who go to university who are not that bright. There's lots of people who graduate from university with reasonable degrees who are not very bright.
And
they've just managed to get an education.
Former Olympian in table tennis. Yeah, ping pong.
Yeah.
Or what did Boris Johnson call it? Waffle or something, didn't he? What did he call it?
Was it wiffle?
Whiff-waff. That's
Whiff-waff.
right, yeah. But anyway, he writes in his column today, which is always a brilliant column, which I regularly point out to you, the wisdom of his words.
You are constantly reading it, it's true.
He says, now, Rooney may not be able to solve simultaneous equations or discuss the theoretical basis of relativity, but he is not a practical problem solver. To propel a ball through the air, to cause it to dip and fade at the right moment, to enable it to elude the despairing lunge of the goalkeeper, as he did against Stoke City on Saturday, the ball describing a perfect hypotenuse of artistry.
Hypotenuse? Wow, that's a big word for this show.
Yeah. Requires the ability to make implicit calculations of gravity, air resistance, inertia and momentum. Inertia. This he can do because of long-term trial and error learning, i.e. practice.
Yeah, but how does he make that is different from any other footballer of his level?
Because he's better at it than most.
Well, he's not really.
Well, he is.
He's better at it than he's definitely an elite footballer.
Yeah, exactly.
So there are probably at least 10 players that you could name who are at least as good.
He was amongst the best in the world for about 3 years.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is his argument then, therefore, that Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Luis Suarez, Lionel Messi...
No, he's not comparing him to anybody else.
Gareth Bale. Well, they must all be geniuses as well, surely.
Well, that's not the point of his piece.
Well, then
I
say it's deeply flawed.
No, it's not deeply flawed.
It is.
Have you read it?
Yes, I have read it.
The whole thing?
Yes, I have.
So the headline, Sneering at Rooney's intellect, has to stop.
I agree.
He's a genius as chosen field.
I'll tell you what
it's about Wayne Rooney.
I know that.
You don't seem to get the plot much tonight.
No,
he's not comparing him to anybody else.
Listen, you're the one that didn't know when Liverpool were playing, OK? Let's not talk about who's lost the plot.
You're claiming you've read this piece, but if you have, you don't understand it.
Well, the point...
It's an examination of Wayne Rooney.
All I'm saying to you is I don't particularly want to sit here and listen to you reading out somebody else's journalistic work.
Why not? Because it's brilliant.
Because my job when I was working as a journalist was to edit people, and if I would have gone back to side and said, are you suggesting that every footballer that is as good as Wayne Rooney is therefore a genius? I agree with his point that actually it's wrong for people to question his intellect, because usually the people that are doing that haven't got much of an intellect anyway.
Yes.
Which is fine. But in the end, he has to be making a point about something other than Wayne Rooney.
Well, what do you think about in this piece when he gets on to Wayne Rooney's school reports?
Well, I don't care about Wayne Rooney's school reports. What I care about is whether
that's very relevant to the piece.
Well, of course it's...
So what did you think about those few paragraphs?
Well, I've never said that Wayne Rooney is not a bright guy. Yeah, I've never said that. What I'm saying is if you're going to say that a guy like Wayne Rooney is a genius in any area, right, I don't think that's true.
Okay,
you're saying he's a genius.
Well, you don't think it's true. I do, and so does Matthew Syed.
Well, you're saying he's a genius when it comes to the football pitch.
Yes,
I don't think he's a genius in any other area.
Well, I haven't said he's a genius in any other area.
Neither is
the
he.
reason I've told you this is because I first wrote this in my book, Rooney Tunes, best-selling book, came out in 2010 ahead of the World Cup, and it pointed out...
It's out of stock, by the way. Did you know that?
Well, that's because there's been a rush on it, I think.
Do you think so? Since Syed stole your idea?
No, Syed may have read my book because it's exactly the same argument.
Yeah.
And my argument was formulated after a conversation with a Cambridge Don.
Yes. Well, you said that,
Cambridge
but you've
professor.
never produced this guy.
No, I have. He's
Why don't we
named
get
in
him
the
on?
book.
Why don't we get him on?
He doesn't work there anymore, apparently.
Where does he work now?
I've no idea.
Really?
He's an academic, and these academics move around in the academic world.
Yeah, we're journalists. I'm sure we could find him.
Yeah, we probably could. But the point is, it says everything that I've said about him for 7 years, and for 7 years people have said, oh, don't be ridiculous. I mean, what Matthew puts in here is he remembers reading a piece once when some comic got up on a stage and said, Wayne Rooney, millionaire is he? He'd be better off with a tar and a rope. Trying to make out that he had the intellect of a monkey, not of a
but you see,
footballer.
These are these kind of fashionable types who like to make fun of people who are footballers, who like to make fun of what they think are safe targets. You know, they don't make fun of anyone who's not a safe target in the same way that all this nonsensical stuff that's been going on over the weekend, all these marches that have been going on in every sort of city of the world, apart from the one city in the world, Riyadh, where lots of women actually don't have any rights at all.
But thank you for pointing out that Rooney Tunes is now out of stock. That's obviously there's been a rush on it.
There obviously has.
But if you have a look on eBay and places like that, you may still be able to get a copy. Was a bestseller in 2010, so it's it's a well-known, well-documented book about one of our better-known football personalities.
Indeed. Now,
called Rooney Tunes, and
what we might do,
published by John Blake.
What we might do is get some people to look online to see if they can find a copy of it. Maybe the price has gone up. Maybe there's now some kind of premium.
Could well be.
Stuart says that last ad break was bliss. No Porky, nothing at all.
What?
Welcome to the silent channel.
It's not very nice, is it?
Phil says Porky is such a blatant little Englander, it's embarrassing.
Sorry, what am I being little Englander about?
I think he's referring to your China argument.
Well, look, what I'm saying about China is that they're trying to suck the life out of football in the West because they're very, very wealthy. Yeah. And all I'm saying is that would be a shame for the game. Well, that's not little England, that's practicality.
Well, it's, according to Steve Parrish, it's discriminatory against China.
Well, you say that.
Here's one from, it's not just me. Leon says Steve Parrish put Porky in his place. No, Porky said, And Harry says, so funny, Mike Parry put in his place by MG and Steve Parrish. Slam dunk. Well, he says, sometimes you're wrong, Porky, you should just admit it.
So, well, when I am wrong, I do admit it.
Really?
But the problem is that, the envy factor sometimes whips up against me. I just have to put up with it.
Now, what did you make of all the criticism heaped upon your mate Rod Stewart over the weekend?
Well, I thought he was brilliant, didn't you?
I thought it was very funny.
I thought when he was doing the draw and he was whipping his arm round, getting the ball out, number 3 was Celtics. He got very
certainly
excited.
livened up the Scottish Cup final draw, which was not particularly exciting apart from his attendance, really.
Yeah, of course he did, and he was brilliant at it, I'm telling you. And as you know, he's a friend of the station, a friend of mine,
certainly is.
Friend of ours, and we're hoping that we may see him again soon.
Yes, indeed. But I thought, I saw a lot of people sort of making out that he was drunk. I mean, was there any doubt in your mind that he was drunk?
I've no idea whether he's drunk or not. I don't know whether he had a drink or not. I know he's very excited when he goes to Celtic games, and he'd just seen the Celtic game, hadn't he, at that non-league club, and then he'd gone back in the studio to do the draw. Yeah. So I think he was highly charged, and that's the way you should be when you've had the sparkling career that Rod Stewart's had.
How about this from Rob? He says, Porky's book out of stock, is it? Well, it's cheaper than wood for your wood burner.
Oh, that's very funny.
It is funny, that.
Yeah, I always like being criticised by people who've never had a published book in their life.
Yes, I know, that's terrible. Matthew says this, listening from Jakarta, I think China would be better off investing in their grassroots game rather than in foreign mercenaries.
Well, I think
the point is, Matthew, they're doing both, aren't they? They're also investing in English football as well, by the way.
Indeed, they are. Now, what are you going on about burnt foods for? What are you talking about?
What?
You're going on about burnt foods.
I wasn't going on about burnt foods.
Foods linked to cancer.
Well, no, I just was reading the front page of one of the papers this morning. Yes. And many of them have got Gordon Kay on there, by the way, which we'll be talking about.
Oh, I know, we'll talk about that a bit later on. We've got a bit of a feature on that, haven't we?
Now, there's a story on front page of Daily Mail. Now, baby food and biscuits are linked to cancer.
I know, it's so ridiculous.
And I just said, well, how many things have not been linked to cancer? I think everything that actually exists out there has been linked to cancer.
Do you know what they're trying to link to it now? Kettle chips, Bert's crisps, Hovis, Fox's biscuits, Kenco coffee, McVitie's, and products from Cowgate. It is utterly nonsensical.
This is according to the Food Standards Agency.
Well, is it?
Yeah. They apparently...
According to the Food Standards Agency, have raised levels of acrylamide.
Acrylamide, I think.
Yeah, that's right, acrylamide. Animal studies suggest chemical can trigger DNA mutation of cancer. Now, this is on the back of stories over the weekend which had headlines like this: cancer risk of making your roast potatoes too crunchy.
That's it.
The perfect roast potato should be crunchy according to recipes promoted by celebrity chefs, but overcooking spuds could increase the risk of cancer, food watchdogs will warn. Bird toast is also on the Food Standard Agency's danger list. Oh, do me a favour, honest to God. Another headline here: if you want to stay healthy, don't brown your toast. Toast is brown.
Well, how can you make
toast
it...
is
how
brown.
Can you toast something without making it brown?
Exactly. Fluffy and crisp roast potatoes, French fries and well-done toast could all cause cancer.
Yeah.
Public health officials have warned. Right. Oh, it's so much rubbish. We'll be reading
Maybe they should sack all these people at the Food Standards Agency and actually put the money into properly researching cancer instead of making statements that sound as if you've just fallen off a boat from the 12th century.
I totally
agree.
Don't
eat that. That'll give you cancer.
In 3 months' time...
that's all they're saying, right?
In 3 months' time, we'll be told, oh, actually, it's got the all clear now, because certainly during my lifetime, I've been told milk kills you. Oh, no, milk doesn't kill you. Eggs kill you. Oh, no, eggs don't kill you. What are the other popular ones? Bacon kills you. Oh, no, bacon doesn't kill you.
Yeah.
Butter kills you.
Butter does.
Oh, no, butter doesn't kill you.
No, it doesn't. No, it's good for you.
I mean, it's just...
It's hard to keep up, isn't it?
It's utterly ridiculous,
Scottish Bully says, Porky's book is on eBay now for $2.75. It's going up.
Hey, that's great.
Good, so you could actually have some common sense coming up. Stefan says, Hi Potter News. Is that a new feature, or does the plank mean Hi Potter News?
Yeah, Hi Potter News. That's exactly what I mean.
Sounds exactly like it, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Dr. Guy Poppy.
Guy Poppy?
What kind of a name is that?
Is it Tall Poppy?
No, Dr. Guy Poppy, Chief Scientific Advisor to the FSA, Food Standards Authority, that is it? Said, I used to have a view that the nice way to make a roast potato was to pre-cook them, fluff them up so they have a large surface area and put them in a very high-temperature oven. Right. The point is that because of that surface area and cooking style, the amount of acrylamide will be higher.
Yeah.
They've just invented a new word called acrylamide.
That's right, yeah. I like my acrylamide toasted.
Utter rubbish.
This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
The Two Mics. That music can mean only one thing. It is, of course, the impending arrival of Mr. Tim Vickery, live from Brazil, although he may not be quite as close to Brazil as he normally is. Tim, a very good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning to you, gentlemen. Yeah, I have been on an airplane ride, but instead of flying down to Rio, I've been flying from Rio.
From Rio. So are you technically on our shores then?
I am, yeah. I wouldn't come back in at this time of year. It's too cold. This island is uninhabitable.
I bet you haven't seen fog like this for a while either.
I really are. An old pea super like what they used to make.
Yeah, but I mean, incredible, isn't it? Because, I mean, I remember when London used to have a lot of these types of fog. But, I mean, I haven't seen anything like this for a while. Not 30 or 40 years.
Well, don't you get any fog in Brazil at all, Tim? You must do.
No, very, very rare, especially because it's a product of the air being this cold.
Yeah.
And that never, ever happens.
You probably get smog, don't you?
The coldest I've ever seen. I've seen it get down to maybe about 13, 14 degrees briefly.
Yeah.
And then it's like send out the National Guard, and especially when the women love it because they can throw open the wardrobe and they can put on everything they've ever bought but never get to wear, So the big boots come out, the big coats come out. They absolutely love it.
Fur coats?
Yeah.
Nah, they wouldn't be wearing fur coats in Brazil.
Yeah, why not?
Well, 14 degrees.
Well, why not?
You ever seen a fur coat in Brazil, Tim?
I haven't seen too many fur coats, but I've seen quite kind of quite big and bushy ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you've got them in the wardrobe, so you need an excuse to use them. And if that temperature goes below 15,
do you think then, Tim? Seriously, you're European, but you've lived in South America for so long. Do you think that your bodily makeup has now changed, like almost your DNA, to make you a warm climate person rather than a cold climate person.
Without doubt, no doubt about it. I've been back a week now, and I'm counting the days. I've got one more week.
Right.
I'm back because my mum hurt her back, so she needs
How is she, by the way?
Help. No, she's very well. She's very well. But I've told her, don't do it again in January. Do it in July next time.
Absolutely right.
I have really, really felt it. Really felt the cold. And in the past, I remember getting through severe winters here without a proper coat.
Yeah.
So it didn't seem to bother me that much, but I couldn't do it now.
No.
There's no doubt about it, Mike. I don't know if it's a DNA thing or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just not used to it anymore.
No. Well, you remember Barry Sheen, the great motorcycle rider? I mean, he emigrated to Australia because literally he had so many broken bones and nuts and bolts in his body and all that, he couldn't live in a cold temperature anymore. Yeah. So, I mean, physically, he had to go there. Do you feel that way? Do you feel rejected now by cold weather?
I feel it would be very, very difficult to live here.
Yeah, right, okay.
You probably could do it, but it would take some time to adjust.
Sure.
And
you'd have to go to the Mediterranean. You'd have to become a beach bum in somewhere like Portugal or something like that.
Something like that,
yeah.
My options are limited. I'm feeling a little bit like, Ray Liotta in Goodfellas, when at the end
when he goes to Salt Lake, he goes to Utah or somewhere, right?
Yeah, but he says it's his big stipulation. I don't want to go anywhere cold. So if I ever turn state's witness and get on the witness protection scheme, that would be my demand. I'm not going anywhere cold.
Okay. No, indeed. Now, back to the matters at hand. Copa Libertadores gets underway tonight. Some kind of connection to Newcastle.
Yeah, this is just a quick little qualification round that we've got going on this week. Because the Mexican teams pulled out, the Mexican teams couldn't find a place in their calendar. So the 3 Mexican teams have been replaced. How are they being replaced? There's a playoff between 6 clubs from the weakest countries in South America, one of which is Paraguay. And a team from Paraguay, their first campaign in the Libertadores, they're called Deportivo Capiatá, from a few miles outside the capital, Asunción. Their coach, a fellow called Diego Gavilan, who had a brief spell with Newcastle, didn't get on the field that much. He came over, he was quite well heralded when he came over, international midfielder, played a few games for Newcastle, and this is one that makes me feel very, very old indeed, because I remember watching Gavilan as an under-20 international, and I think I interviewed him when he was still a teenager, and now at the age of 36, he's a coach. Wow. When, the referees are now younger than I am, when the coaches are now so much younger than I am as well, it's time to give it up.
I know. What are the policemen looking like these days?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Now, just a sad story to revisit, I suppose. Chapecoense back in action.
Indeed.
And there's lots of sort of money trying to be raised for the victims of the terrible air crash.
Yeah, well, life goes on, doesn't it? And Chapecoense go on, and they have to rekindle the dream. They played their first game. It was a friendly on Saturday since the disaster. So it was an opportunity for the public there in Chapeco, a little town in the south of Brazil, to get back inside the stadium for positive reasons, to cheer on their team, and not, as it was last time, to welcome all the coffins as they came back from Colombia. So life goes on. On Wednesday, there's a friendly between Brazil and Colombia in Rio. The 4 Brazilian survivors, 3 players and a journalist, will all be there watching in the stadium for that one.
Where's that game taking place, Tim?
In Rio.
Yeah, but not at the Maracanã.
Not at the Maracanã. They wanted the Maracanã, but because of its current state, they couldn't use it. They're using the one that staged the Athletics during.
I mean, it's like Wembley being out of order, out of commission for an England friendly, isn't it?
It is.
That's right. It's a disaster, and it cuts the crowd down as well. So there's less money being raised as a consequence. The British Football Writers Association have clubbed together, and they've raised some money, which is great. We're trying to get it over. The problem that we've got is the bureaucratic the bureaucratic headaches trying to send money to Brazil. Yep. At the moment, there are lots of obstacles in our way. Getting this money, which has been very kindly raised by the Football Rights Association in England, getting it over to Brazil. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. Bureaucracy gone mad.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And when you think that the cause is so necessary, wouldn't you think that, intelligent people in governments and all that would just slash all the red tape and let them get on with it?
Yeah, you would hope so, because this money is going to the journalists. A lot of journalists died.
Yeah,
the biggest disaster in the history of the Brazilian press.
I know.
Now, some of them were fairly well off. Others, the little local radio reporters, their families will need as much money as comes in. So the fact that we're having to deal with all this bureaucracy, I think, is very frustrating.
Well, the thing is, there was a big press gathering in London last night, as you may or may not be aware. There was a tribute dinner at the Savoy to Wayne Rooney. So that had all of Britain's finest, in terms of sports reporters there. And there was a discussion about it all going on last night. So hopefully something will come of it.
Yeah, something has to come of it at the other end. The problem is at the other end, not at this end.
Sure. But, I mean, we hope you can put enough pressure on it to make the system a little smoother than it is.
Sure. Yeah. Now, the Under-20 Championships are on as well. Any sort of new stars to be on the lookout for?
Yeah, one or two. It's still early days with this one. 2 groups of 5. The top 3 from each group will go through to the second phase. We're about halfway through, just over halfway through the group phase at the moment. It looks like Brazil and Argentina will be safely through. It's been very tight so far. 12 games, 7 of them have been drawn. So at the moment, very tight, in part, I think, because the pitches that they're using in Ecuador are like ploughed fields. Once we get on to the second round, which will start on Monday, start a week from today, that'll be in the capital, Quito, on much better pitches, and then I think we should have some more quality to rave about. At the moment, it's all a little bit mediocre. There are 1 or 2 players you think, he's interesting, but I haven't seen too many yet who are just leaping out and thinking, we might even see this player at the next World Cup.
Sure. And are you hearing anything just on the general grapevine transfer-wise about, we're almost at the end of January. The transfer window will be sort of closing quite rapidly soon. Are you hearing anything, not necessarily about obviously South American-based players, but South American players in Europe maybe moving around?
Yeah, and it seems a little bit quiet. And one which is getting headlines on my usual side of the Atlantic is Didier Drogba, linked with Corinthians in Brazil. Now, he has been playing in Major League Soccer with Montreal.
Toronto, I think, or Montreal, yeah.
Yeah, so he's been linked with that. It does seem, though, that the agent, who's an unauthorised, not a FIFA agent, who's trying to set this up, is a little bit of a grandstander. He's got a track record of promising this, that, and the other. Because Drogba's actual agent said last week, he said that no negotiations had even taken place yet. So we'll have to see if anything comes of that. Okay. That'll be interesting to see if he wants to round off his career at the end of 38 with a little Brazilian adventure. He's been everywhere else.
Yeah, well, he certainly has. There's nowhere else left for him to go, really. And finally, a little story about an overage player in a youth competition.
Yeah,
these are always quite amusing, aren't they?
Well, this happens so often in South America. My favourite actually comes a few years ago from the South American under-20s, when Peru fielded a centre-back, and when they played Ecuador, the Ecuadorian players, as they walked down the line to shake hands before the game, I know him. It turns out he'd not only falsified his age, he'd falsified his nationality. He wasn't a 19-year-old Peruvian. Right. He was a 24-year-old Ecuadorian. So that's my favourite one.
Had he done that just to get himself a game or something?
Well, yeah, because if you do well at the under-20 championships, then there are so many scouts watching that. You can use that unfair advantage to get yourself a lucrative move. Well, Brazil has it's the most prestigious under-20 competition in Brazil, the São Paulo Junior Cup. More than 100 teams enter. We were going to have a final between Corinthians and a team called Paulista, but one of the Paulista players, it's been revealed that he was playing under a false identity. He'd knocked 3 years off his age. And the identity he was using is that someone who's in prison awaiting charges on drug trafficking and street mugging. So his team, because he was overage, his team have been thrown out. So the final will be between Corinthians and the side that his team beat in the semi-final. So right at the end of the competition, discovery of an overage player has rendered the whole thing a farce, really, because the team who qualified for the final won't be able to play it.
Amazing stuff. Well, Tim, best wishes to your mother.
Thanks.
And we'll catch up with you soon. Will you be back in Brazil next week, or are you not sure
yet? Yeah, I'm flying this time next week, so I think we're going to be speaking next Thursday.
Okay, terrific.
Lovely.
Good stuff, Tim. Thank you very much indeed. Tim Vickery there. A couple of loads of good tweets to read out to you, but I was just going to draw your attention to the Telegraph, which is now picked up on the Wayne Rooney scenario.
Yes.
With the other Jim White. not our Jim White, but Jim White from the Telegraph.
That's
saying,
right.
Writing on about how unfair it is that Wayne Rooney is criticised quite so much as he is by a load of fans. Doesn't say he's a genius, mind you, but also there was a guy on TalkSport 2 over the weekend, a Man United historian, who says actually he hasn't overtaken Bobby Charlton's goal record yet because there's 2 goals that were scored by Bobby Charlton in some match in the Anglo-Italian Cup, which FIFA counts as goals, but Manchester United don't. Yeah, so he might need to score a couple more.
Yeah, that was a competition for failing teams. Actually, if you couldn't get into
a friendly.
Well, if you couldn't get into the European Cup or Cup Winners' Cup or the Fairs Cup, as it was in those days, came about 7th or 8th in the league, got into the Anglo-Italian Cup. It's just a commercial thing.
Just a commercial thing. This is Talk Sport. Well, that's a very familiar sounding piece of music, isn't it?
Well, it certainly is. And do you know, it was one of my favourite sitcoms, really, of the recent, the last sort of 20, 25 years, because it was so innocent. And it was such good family entertainment. There was nothing bawdy. Well, it was a bit bawdy.
Well, it was quite bawdy.
Yeah, it's quite bawdy. There was nothing, unpleasant about it or offensive
at all. It wasn't seedy.
No, I thought it was great. And I loved Vicky Michelle. I think she's the most beautiful actress who's ever appeared on television. And I thought, her sexy wiggle in front of old René was one of the highlights of my television week.
Well, funnily enough, right, and we didn't know this until today, because obviously, and it's on a lot of the front pages, Gordon Kay passed away, and there's lots of tributes to him. Yeah. But our very own John Hearn, who's normally our film guru, but also, I don't know whether I would be disparaging you by saying, occasional actor and director.
Very occasional.
Okay, so, but you actually were in an episode of Hello, Hello.
I was, yes, in the last series.
Right. So when was this?
This was summer of '92. I just finished my first year at theatre school, and we weren't allowed to do any work outside of the college. So
really?
I had to pretend I wasn't doing it.
Okay.
And I secretly spent 3 days up in Norfolk on location.
That's quite a coup, though, isn't it, to get a speaking part, particularly in a very big.
Absolutely.
Sort of BBC, comedy.
Well, it was the most popular show, I think, on BBC at the time. And how did you actually get in there, John? I mean, did you just turn up as an extra and say, I'm willing and able?
No, I just joined an agency, and the agent they'd offered the agent 3 parts in this particular scene, and each of the 3 other characters had a couple of lines each, and they needed somebody who was younger, and somebody who was middle-aged, and somebody who was old, and so he offered me the younger part, and so I said, of course, I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
and did that. Yeah, it's in the final series.
Right. And how many takes were there?
Oh gosh, good question. Probably not many, because it was a very fast turnaround.
Right.
Because they had to shoot all 6 episodes very, very quickly. So,
how many times did you have to say your 2 lines? Can you remember?
Well, probably 3 or 4 times.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
okay.
Not much.
And do you remember what the line was?
My 2 lines were, he was no friend of mine, and he watered his wine.
Well, let's have a listen to it, because I think we've got the original clip.
Brilliant.
Would you like to contribute to the collection for a brew of min?
No, sir. He was no friend of mine.
A real shifty character he was.
He owed me money, too.
How dare you speak bitterly of the dude?
He watered his wine.
And short-changed us. Stop in the street, or you'll get a bing on the nit with my truncheon.
He knows me for his truss.
Be about your business, you ill-mannered peasants. René Artois should be remembered as a man with a wonderful pist.
I have to say, John, what was it like working with René or Gordon Kay?
He was actually, I know everybody always says this when somebody dies, but he was actually a really, really nice guy. For me, I was nobody for him. He was the big star of the show. He'd been doing it for nearly 10 years.
Yeah.
And when we were getting ready for the first take, just before almost a few seconds before they started shooting, he just turned to the 3 of us and he said, in his own voice, he went, 2 goldfish in a tank. One turns to the other and says, how do you drive this thing? It's a terrible joke, but it put us at ease.
I quite like
it. And that was, he did that to make us feel relaxed, because it was our first day on set with him. He was the big star of the show.
Yeah.
And he was very, very accommodating, very, very laid back kind of guy. I was very fortunate, and you'll hate me for this, Mr. Parry, but I was very fortunate to have lunch with him afterwards and Vicky Michelle.
Oh, lovely.
And he had
what was she like?
She was wonderful. Again, very, very nice, very, very lovely person. He had no pretension. We were sat on the dining bus along with everybody else. I was just somebody who had a couple of lines in one episode of this
That's
big
pretty
TV
unusual
series.
as well, isn't it?
It is very unusual because he could have had a separate place to eat, which a lot of big stars on TV do now.
Yes.
But
Porky does that when we go off on our trips on the Two Mics tour.
What do you mean?
He makes sure that he separates himself from the great unwashed.
Don't be ridiculous. I'm man of the people. Really? It's well known.
Yeah. He was genuinely really a really nice, very laid back, very approachable, very fun guy, and and I spent a really pleasant day in his company.
That's lovely. And what, as a TV and film reviewer, did you think of the series itself?
Well, I was quite young. I loved it because it was my parents' favourite TV show. Still is.
Right.
That and Dad's Army. And my parents, even now, 25 years later, will tell anyone and everyone that their son was in an episode of Low or Low.
Fantastic.
Because that for me, there's nothing in the world that I can do that will ever eclipse that in the eyes of my parents.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because it was their favourite show. Funny enough, my dad's favourite show was Dad's Army as well, because he was in the war during the.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of passed me by Low because I think I was still in America when it was at its height.
Yeah, it must have been.
So by the time I came back, and I remember coming back to work in newspapers, and everyone was a sort of household name, and I didn't really know who any of them were because I hadn't seen it.
I grew up watching it. Over the
characters were so strong, weren't they? They had these two airmen, Mike, who were like being hidden by the resistance. But I mean, they only came out once every 3 shows. But when they did, they were so thoroughly British, weren't they? Stiff upper lip and all that, And it was just great.
It's very popular. I mean, they sold it to 80 countries around the world. It's very popular in France and Germany, funnily enough.
Yeah.
It was huge in Germany.
And amazingly, they managed to make a very funny series out of what was a horrendous experience for the French people. You know what I mean? Yeah. And as you quite rightly say, the Germans and the French even laughed at it. Yeah, it was.
Well, I mean, here's a great quote in one of the obits I'm reading here from him. He says, "I love playing Renee. Hello, Hello enabled me to work with some of the finest comic performers in Britain. We did it for 10 years, but even Hitler only managed 6.
Yeah.
Which is a great line, isn't it? Where you can, I mean, who would have thought you could make a sitcom out of the Second World War?
That's right, yeah. Did you ever worry, John, that after getting that break, and it was a break because everybody started those small parts, you didn't then take the leap to somewhere else?
That's very true. I didn't.
No. I mean, did you want to?
I did. Yeah.
You're saying that he's basically failed as an actor.
No. I'm saying, did he want to point his career in the direction of production and critics and all that kind of stuff, or did you want to be an actor?
I have acted as well. I've been in other TV shows with bit parts, and I've acted in movies as well. So I've done that, and but I've kind of drifted into the production and the writing and the directing side of things, which I actually kind of enjoy more, because when you're an actor, you turn up, you do your bit, and then you disappear, and that's you kind of feel a little bit disassociated from the whole production. And I quite like the idea of coming in at the very beginning and seeing a project through all the way to the end. So an actor can come in and be involved with something for a day or a week or a couple of months. But when you're involved in the whole development, the production, it can be 2 years in the progress of making something. So I actually kind of enjoy that.
Some people, sorry to keep shooting there, some people make a living out of being extras.
Absolutely.
Like, for instance, Coronation Street, which I watch religiously. There's always people walking past in the background, in and out the Rovers and all that. Are they professional actors who make a living out of doing that?
Absolutely, and I did that for a couple of years. I was a professional extra, and I joined up with a couple of agencies, and if you get a regular gig, I was based in the West Country when Casualty was in Bristol.
Oh yeah,
and I had a kind of semi-regular gig on Casualty. And so every so often I'd appear in the background. Although one time I joined up with 2 different agencies, and I got booked for the same episode of Casualty by 2 different agencies, playing 2 different characters.
Different roles. Oh, yeah. So what happened?
When I realised, because they used to shoot 2 episodes at the same time, so I didn't realise until I got there on the second one that it was the same episode. So I had to kind of hide from the camera, and they kept trying to put me in front of the camera, and I kept trying to turn my head away.
Hat or something?
I had to turn my head away so that every time the camera came past, I could, because if I got caught, then I would be, I'd get barred from doing it.
Yeah, that's right. You've been a back-to-back type cheat or something.
Well, we nearly got you in as an extra for Downton Abbey, didn't we?
Yeah,
we had the director on one day. Who said he was going to give Porky a sort of walk-on role as one of the servants.
Yeah,
without speaking.
Exactly.
But just for a bit of a laugh.
Yeah,
but it sort of never came quite.
It sort of all went away. But it was a very thrilling prospect. You know, you have to try and pursue it in something else.
Well, you should, because you would like to be immortalised on celluloid, wouldn't you?
Certainly would,
or even a digital.
Well, I did get Adrian Durham in a little bit part in a film that we made about a year and a half ago. It's a film called Servants' Quarters.
I remember when that came out.
Removal man.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Brilliant.
Was it a non-speaking part?
It was a non-speaking part.
Thank God.
Very funny.
Actually.
Well
that's
done.
Right.
Well, John, listen, thanks for that. Fascinating little story.
Thank you, John.
Lots and lots of tributes to the Hello star Gordon Kay, which we'll go into a bit more in a little while. A couple of quick tweets for you. This is from Andy. Rooney is no genius for being good at football and scoring one great free kick. That's a bit unfair, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does he switch off his genius in tournaments, he says?
Well, I mean, that's always been, that's the difference, I suppose, between Bobby Charlton and Wayne Rooney. That Bobby Charlton won the World Cup. So, in fact, he had the most successful record you can have, track record you can have in competitions. He actually won it. Whereas the England teams that Wayne Rooney's been in have done so badly in competitions. Yeah. That will be, that'll be the one sort of gap in his amazingly successful record.
Because he's, I suppose, not going to play any role if there is to be a role to be played in Russia, is he? This is Talk Sport. We've got lots more coming up, including Mr. Thomas Sandholm, a professor in computer science. He's going to tell us all about this poker-playing robot. This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Way out in the water, see it swimming.
This is Talk Sport. We are The Two Mics. You can reach us at The Two Mics on Twitter, of course. Go and look at our Facebook page as well, where there's lots going on. And, of course, you can also tweet us at Mike Parry 8 and at IROMG. I haven't asked you about Gerard de Deulofeu, actually, yet, have I?
Well,
it's a shame he's going. I always thought he was rather good.
Well, he was the great young hope, actually, because we got him from Barcelona's youth setup.
Right.
So we thought, this is brilliant. He came first on loan.
And then he went back.
Roberto Martinez.
And then Everton bought him, right?
Yeah, because of the Spanish connection. He went back for a season, then came back. And I thought he was a great, great player. But obviously, Mr. Koeman doesn't think he's, maybe the full player that he wants him to be at the moment. He's gone off to AC Milan to get more experience. He's gone on loan rather than being sold. But,
so you think they'll bring him back?
Well, I hope so, because he's definitely got something. It's just whether or not he fits into Mr. Koeman's pattern.
Yes.
Now, I was very interested when you showed me this image earlier. Explain this image to me, please.
What, you mean the one about the guy walking across the frozen lake?
Well, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Well, it really is quite extraordinary. It's in one of the papers this morning.
He's carrying his kid.
He's carrying a toddler who looks about maybe no more than 18 months, maybe 2 years old.
Yes.
And it's a father who's apparently walking across the water at Whitlingham Broad in in Norwich, where temperature in the area hit minus 6.3 degrees the night before.
Yes.
And the Coast Guards are saying, what on earth is this guy doing? I mean, anyone with half a brain knows that you don't walk on a frozen lake. Never mind carry a child across a frozen lake.
This picture was taken at Whitlingham Broad, near Norwich.
Yeah.
Temperatures in the area hit minus 6, so obviously
I've just
frozen.
said all that.
Yeah, no. A Coast Guard spokesman. Now, there was somebody drowned in this lake in 2015.
Yeah, but I mean, any lake that you see which is frozen, I don't care how cold it is.
Yeah.
I mean, funnily enough, I was saying this to my kids only yesterday.
Yes.
Because we went out on Sunday to do some stuff, and as we drove past this lake, where a lot of people fish, actually, normally, near Hastings, it looked like it was frozen, and I just reiterated to them. I said, no, you just never walk on a frozen lake.
No, you never do.
You just don't do it.
No, there's another picture here of a father, and he's taking pictures of his kids riding their bikes on the ice over another lake in Kent. I mean, now, the reason this is so relevant is yesterday I was down in Stockbroker Belt, went out and had some lunch in Stockbroker Belt. We passed one of the ponds where I feed my ducks.
Yes.
But it wasn't actually that pond I'd been to that morning.
Was that the day you put out a picture?
I put out a picture, but the picture I put out yesterday was of a different pond yesterday. I went elsewhere,
Because there were some people asking about the authenticity of the picture.
There was no. The picture was the ducks were on the side of I think the water was very cold. The ducks were on the side of the pond, and we'd been feeding them, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, later in the day, I drove past I was driven past, I should say, one of the ponds where I normally go.
Yeah.
Now, I couldn't believe my eyes. The whole lake was frozen.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. I don't know why, but these ponds have their own sort of micro sort of climate.
Well, it
they
was
get very
minus
cold.
4 or 5, wasn't it?
It was minus 4 or 5. But kids were walking right out on the ice to the middle of the pond. And I was so alarmed.
Yeah.
I said to the driver, you better stop here. He said, why? I said, I got to, and he said, well, they're probably with their parents, and he's right. You know, why should I get involved? And that kind of stuff. But it was a horrifying scene.
That's one of those typical situations that we have in this day and age. If you got out and started telling him, you'd probably end up getting arrested.
Well, I mean, I know a bit about the ponds because I've spent so many years feeding the ducks. I can tell when the ice is like thick and solid and when it's fragile and where the water will come in because you know the bits of the sides of the pond where the sun comes first and weakens it and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, I could not believe my eyes.
I mean, we used to go, when I was a kid, to the top of Hampstead Heath.
Yes.
And you might remember, sort of, you've been up there, there's Jack Straw's Castle.
Yes.
And there's a there's a pond there called the Whitestone Pond.
That's
which
right,
was actually designed for horses to walk through when they got to the top of the high street.
I see, yeah.
Because they were tired and they could have a rest and everything. And that, we knew, was only a foot deep.
Yes.
So if it ever froze over in the winter, you could skate on it because the worst that could happen is you'd go up to your shins. But, you know, a lake could be 30 feet deep, could be 50 feet deep. The water would be cold enough to kill you anyway.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You could drown just through sort of anaphylactic shock or whatever it is when you fall into freezing cold water and your vagal nerve, I think it is, isn't it?
It's staggering that people could be this stupid.
The thing is, this pond I'm talking about it's at a place called Walton.
Somebody said they thought it looked like Carshalton.
No, it wasn't. No, Carshalton was where I was in the morning. This was Walton on the hill.
Okay,
and I don't know how deep the lake is in the middle. All I know is at the edges, when sometimes in the summer there's a bit of a drought and all that, you can see it goes down gently. You know what I mean? There's like shale on the edge of it.
Yeah.
But I've no idea how deep it is in the middle. And these kids were going out more or less towards the middle of it. And I thought it was astonishingly stupid. And as you quite rightly say, if you fell through a hole in that ice, well, you might be submerged and then not be able to come up because of the ice. But secondly, you're absolutely right about the cold.
You couldn't last long in it, could you?
You wouldn't last 20 seconds probably, you know.
And the other thing, of course, is that if something terrible does happen, all these idiots expect the ambulance people to arrive and the fire brigade to arrive.
That's right.
And somebody to come and save them.
Yeah.
You know, you have to give a thought to those people who shouldn't be having to do that if you were actually not behaving like a complete and utter idiot.
Utterly ridiculous.
Now,
totally agree.
I've got a slightly more cheery story for you.
Right. I like a cheery story.
Whether you spotted this. It's a story from a part of the world that you are very familiar with, Southampton.
Yes. Southampton,
which you've mentioned in the past.
Yes.
You once attacked Southampton for not being a very nice place.
I don't think I did.
I seem to remember.
I don't think
anyway,
I did.
The good news is, because we're now a keep fit society, the first nude exercise class has been started.
I saw this. I couldn't believe it.
Did you see? I tweeted it out a little bit earlier on today.
How repulsive, honestly.
Can you imagine working out in a room full of naked people?
How utterly repulsive, honest to God. I mean, who on earth would get involved in sporting themselves nakedly in a class of other people?
Well, did you see the pictures?
Utterly ridiculous.
This woman, Helen Smith, right, it's a former recruitment consultant. She's naked, but all the people in the class that she's teaching appear to also be naked.
Yeah.
Most of them are men. And it's called Gentle Boot Camp Style Exercise with Partner Games and Teamwork. I mean, you wouldn't really want to be doing any teamwork with somebody naked, would you?
I'd close that down, I would. I think I would. I think that's offensive to public decency.
Do you?
To have people jumping around with the middle-aged, flabby bodies and all the extraneous pieces of a human body.
Slim, that's what you're saying.
Well, no, I'm saying the whole thing's wrong, but it's even more repulsive if people are flabby and middle-aged. By the way...
She says it's a great way to celebrate the body. You don't have to think about washing sweaty gym clothes after the class.
No, but you have to worry about, all your sweaty bodies being, apparent and available to everybody around you. That's disgusting.
Did you see there was another? I mean, I don't know whether there's a sort of an agency putting these stories out, like some naturist agency. There was another one the other day, and I think this was in London. Or was it actually maybe in Wales?
Yes.
I can't remember. Where a new naked cleaning service has been started up.
Why would somebody want a naked cleaner?
Well, I suppose, there might be fringe benefits to be had. Remember your guy that had the cleaner from Brazil?
Yes.
That you've spoken about in the past?
Yeah, but that was a straight offer from her to him, to increase her income.
Yeah, no, I know. But what I'm saying is, I don't think there's any suggestion that this is involving horizontal refreshment as a side issue.
That's absolutely mad.
But,
Sounds very Welsh, though.
Well, I'm not sure. Before you start criticising the Welsh, I'm not certain it was
I thought
Wales.
you said it was Welsh.
Well, I think it was Cardiff. I can't remember.
See, yeah.
It might have been Bristol. I'm not sure. Anyway, the point is that, that they've been inundated apparently with people who want to clean other people's houses.
I just
naked.
don't understand it. I just...
Would you not have a naked cleaner then?
No, of course I wouldn't have a naked cleaner. It's ridiculous. Anybody who wants to walk around naked, honestly, there's something wrong with them. What about this bloke you're telling me about, walking around the world barefoot?
Yes. Well, this is a guy who was making a protest, I suppose you might say, and the protest is all the rage at the moment.
Yes.
And he was making a barefoot protest by walking across America.
Unbelievable.
Right. Unfortunately, though, over the weekend, he was hit and run over and killed by an SUV on a Florida highway.
That's right, yeah.
So
because he's walking around without any shoes on, and therefore...
Well, I don't think it was because he didn't have any shoes on. I mean, he may have just been walking in a dangerous road.
So ridiculous.
It's a shame, really.
Listen, talking about all that sort of thing,
the time, by the way.
Yeah, don't worry about the time. But all these kind of screwball type ideas that unfortunately permeate our lives these days.
Screwball type
ideas. They are. The next one is vegan sandwiches are being launched by Marks and Spencer.
Well, what's wrong with that?
As more Britons turn their backs on meat, fish, dairy, and eggs, the high street retailer, which sells more than 1.5 million sandwiches every week, made with more than 30 fillings, is tapping into a growing
like a
trend.
big sandwich.
A growing trend, eh?
Isn't that a big sandwich with 30 fillings?
Tapping into a growing trend.
No, the 30 fillings, though.
What do you mean?
Well, if a sandwich with 30 things, it's going to be a pretty big sandwich.
Which sells more than 1.5 million sandwiches every week, made with more than 30 different fillings.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of fillings, isn't it?
Well, they've got 30 different flavours of sandwich.
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought it was 30 fillings in one.
No.
Vegan sandwich.
Is tapping into a growing trend led by smaller chains such as Pret-a-Manger and Leon.
Leon's great, actually.
I've heard of Leon.
Leon's really good.
Pret-a-Manger.
I've been off a bit lately.
When we were at an airport once, when Emma, your dear daughter, said, "Oh, there's a Leon," and rushed over there to get some Leon food.
Yeah, she likes Leon. Yeah,
that's
there's
right,
a good cookbook they do as well.
Is there?
Yeah.
It says M&S's Super Green Sandwich range features an edamame.
Yes.
Do you know what an edamame is?
Yes, I think so.
And minted pea filling in chia and linseed bread.
Chia's that stuff you used to get. Remember the chia pet they used to sell in America?
No.
You would buy this kind of wooden horse, effectively, right? And you would water it, and grass would grow.
Oh, I know, yeah. Yeah. In chia and linseed bread and a rainbow veg option made with roasted vegetables and avocado with pumpkin seeds in a red pepper bread.
Yeah.
You
can't just get an ordinary sandwich anymore, can you?
No, you can't, no.
It's like going into a place and saying, can I just have a ham and egg sandwich,
That's
please?
right, or ham and cheese.
No, I'm sorry. Have you got any bread that doesn't have any seeds in it?
That's right. Give me ham and cheese, man.
Yeah.
The world's gone mad.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having choice, is there? Nobody's forcing you to go into Marks and Spencer's and eat a vegan sandwich.
No, but, I mean, what I'm saying is that if we are allowing ourselves to be distracted by minority interests all the time, then we lose the focus of what we should be doing in life to make the world work more efficiently.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's more gourmet burger outlets now than there have ever been. So the fact that many people are not actually eating meat is being catered for by them, because you can go there and you can get a veggie burger.
Yeah, okay, well, that's fair enough for people who want one.
Yeah,
I agree.
Well, I'm saying there's plenty of choice. I don't see why we can't have both. You know what I mean?
Well, you say that, but I mean, I find it very, very odd indeed.
Do you?
I think when you get massive retailers like M&S sort of catering,
they're recognising a demand.
Catering for these sort of off the wall type dietary choices.
They're not off the wall, though.
Well, they are.
They're becoming more and more mainstream.
Then you're encouraging more and more people to say, "Oh, I want to be trendy as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to M&S and get a vegan sandwich."
What's wrong with that?
Well, because it's nonsense.
Well, you'd like
nonsense.
to be standing there, sort of stopping them from doing it.
Not really. I just think
you're such a dictator.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that people always want to follow the crowd and follow the pack, and this encourages it.
Some people want to be vegetarians.
If only people would have their own minds. If only people would think for themselves.
Well, that's what they are doing.
They're not. They're not.
Yeah, but you're
trying to be trendy.
No,
trying to be
not.
down with the kids.
No, you're saying that they should have their own minds and stop doing things that you don't like. That doesn't make any sense.
They should stop doing things they don't like. They only do it to impress their friends.
I don't think that's true.
I do.
Oh, maybe I'll go and get a vegan sandwich and bring one in and see if you like it.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
Poker face.
once made a jingle out of this for you, didn't they?
They did
Porky
indeed.
Face,
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Lady Gaga.
That's right,
You fan of Lady Gaga?
Sorry?
Are you a fan of Lady Gaga?
I don't know enough about her, to be honest.
Don't you?
I've heard one or two songs she's made, but I don't know too much about her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk more about that later on because we've got Tuomas Sandholm here, who's Professor in the Computer Science Department at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, I believe, creator of something called Liberatus Poker AI,
That's right.
which stands for Artificial Intelligence. Tuomas, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Yes,
now,
indeed.
I mean, poker is now such a massive kind of game played not only by men sitting around in smoky rooms, but on the internet, on TV. People are sort of gambling in Las Vegas, huge amounts of money as well. How did you come up with the idea of a sort of effectively a poker playing robot, I guess?
Well, we have actually been working on general purpose algorithms for solving imperfect information games for over 12 years now.
Right.
And these have applications into a host of different areas that we've looked at, like negotiation, auctions, bargaining, cybersecurity, medical treatment planning, and so forth. And poker, especially heads-up, no-limit Texas Hold'em poker, has become kind of the standard benchmark in the AI community for benchmarking these general-purpose algorithms for solving imperfect information games. So that's why we have been working on it.
Okay, now, Thomas, that's fine, but all poker players know, and I'm not a very good poker player, I'm afraid, that you have to stare at your opponent and try and read the facial expressions in your opponent and the body language and the twitching and where are his eyes. How does a robot do all that, and how do you do that to a robot if you're playing against him?
Very good. So, no, most of these heads-up no-limit Texas Hold'em actually happens online between people, so they don't actually see each other. They play each other over the computer, and the same here. So our AI actually doesn't have a physical embodiment. It's not a robot per se, and the humans play against it on computer terminals.
And do humans playing poker without seeing each other behave differently, as it were, around the poker table?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of people think that strategies like bluffing and slow play are psychological phenomena, but they're actually not. They're mathematical phenomena that arise directly from the Nash equilibrium solution concept in game theory. And when you marry our algorithms with the Nash equilibrium solution concept, which is really a definition of rational play, then outcome these good strategies, which include bluffing and slow play and other things like that. So we actually don't program in any of those types of strategies. They just emerge from the mathematical definitions of rational play.
Okay, now Thomas, if you've invented this robot, which I think we're calling Al Liberatus, right? I mean, presumably because it's artificial intelligence, you can make it unbeatable, can't you? And if it's unbeatable, is there any point in pitting it against human beings?
So Liberatus is an AI that my PhD student Noam Brown and I built.
Yeah.
And it is not perfect. There is no perfect AI for heads-up no-limit Texas Hold'em.
Right.
It is currently, at least. It's a very large game. So the number of states that a player can face is 10 to the power of 160. So it's well beyond the number of atoms in the universe. So you can't, at least with current technology, hope to exactly solve it. So that's why we solve it approximately. And that leaves us open to actually losing. And now we are at the point where we are not sure whether we had actually passed the performance of the absolute best human pros in this specific game. And that's why I organized this competition where we are playing 120,000 hands against 4 of the absolute top humans. And right now we just crossed the halfway point of the match and we have a healthy lead. So it may be that by the end of January, we will have shown that AI, the best AI, has surpassed the best humans.
Yeah, because looking at the way the tournament has gone so far, I think I'm right in saying they're all vying for shares of a £200,000 prize. But the Liberatus is up, then he's down, then he's up again a bit more, then down a bit more, then up a bit more. I mean, it's kind of like the way it goes when you play poker as a human, right? He's losing some money and then winning a little bit more back, and it's backwards and forwards.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of variance in poker. So it does go back and forth like that. But if you look at on a daily basis, if we play 6,000 hands in a day, there are very few days when we actually have lost, and most days we have won. But even then, the variance kicks in, and there are days when we have taking a loss for the whole day. But it seems that we have, whenever we win by more, typically, and overall we have a very healthy win rate so far, now that we're a little past halfway the competition. But we're not popping any champagne yet. These humans are very crafty, and they're real sportsmen, and they're trying to improve their strategy every night.
You're absolutely right there, Thomas. Now, will we ever have a situation where a competition consists of 4 Libratus machines playing against each other, all with artificial intelligence?
So we have Libratus is the name of the artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And it is playing against 4 humans at the same time.
Yeah.
One-on-one, each of them. And each of the humans is actually playing 2 tables against it at the same time.
Yeah,
so
but will the machine
AI
ever
is
play...
playing 8 tables.
But will the machine ever play against another machine? That's the point I'm making. How will that work out?
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, we have had all the way since 2006, we have had this annual computer poker competition where we are now the 2-time reigning champions, and with an earlier version, an earlier program than Libratus, and Libratus is much stronger than that program. So this is currently the best AI, and the AI to AI competition actually predates this brains versus AI competition by 10 years.
Who keeps all the money when you win?
We give it to the players anyway.
All right.
So the Pennsylvania Gaming Board didn't allow us to gamble with any money. So I raised the money, and I'm giving it to the pros no matter what. But they get paid. The amount that each pro gets paid depends on how well they do against Libratus relative to each other. So they actually have a strong financial incentive in addition to the pride of mankind to defend.
And when Libratus is losing, say, for example, or has a losing hand, does it exhibit any sort of tendencies to limit the loss more so, perhaps, than a reckless human might?
No. It's with every hand, it tries to maximize expected value.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it can be reckless then?
Oh, yes. It actually plays strategies that many would consider, by just looking at them quickly, more reckless. For example, it makes big overbets way more often than humans do, and in spots where humans never do.
Yeah. So if you see that happening, can't you move in and correct the thought pattern that the artificial intelligence is taking it down?
Oh, no, I can't. First of all, my student and I, we are not expert poker players.
Right.
So we don't actually write the poker strategy. We write the algorithms that automatically output the poker strategy. And by the time it's playing, it's way late to correct anything.
Oh, I see. So it's just got to look after itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see. Fine.
And so what is your kind of aim here in the end? I mean, obviously it's a fascinating experiment, but are you sort of attempting to get to a place where something like Libratus could be used to do other things? It's not just going to play poker?
Yes, absolutely. So, as I mentioned, the algorithms are game independent, so they can be used for a host of different game situations. As long as you can model your setting formally, you can actually feed it as input to the algorithms, and they will output optimal or near optimal strategies for the game.
Right.
So, if I think about it, if we can show that the best AI has surpassed the best humans in strategic reasoning in imperfect information settings, you would want it for any strategic reasoning setting. So you wouldn't want to say, okay, I'm gonna use something inferior, be it another AI or be it a human brain. I would want my strategic reasoning to be as good as possible.
I mean, would you, for example, consider or would you foresee something like this being used by a government, like put one in the White House so that, if there was something that Donald Trump wanted to try and figure out what to do, he goes to Libratus and says, what's your strategy?
I don't know, perhaps, but I'm thinking more kind of cybersecurity settings and military settings and physical security games, automated negotiation, which is something I've been working on since 1989, and things like that. So maybe even at the highest levels of of politics, but I'm not so sure about that.
Okay. Well, it's a fascinating project. Anyway, Thomas, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much indeed.
Professor in the Computer Science Department at Carnegie Mellon University, creator of Liberatus. Fascinating stuff, that. I wouldn't mind a game against the computer.
Well, you see, I don't quite understand it. I thought if you make a computer, it's got to be fail-safe, but this computer just plays as another player, 4 humans, 1 computer. What's the point of having the computer there?
Well, because it's developing the artificial intelligence and the knowledge they have of that so that they can then use it for other things, like he was saying.
Yeah, right.
Because it's constantly developing. How about this from Becky?
Yes.
Says, ever thought of replacing Porky with the 1980s robot Metal Mickey?
What?
You can program it to be nice.
Well, I'm nice. I'm nice most of the time, except when people wind me up
most of the time.
by, pursuing a path of stupidity which my superintelligence can't handle. It's as simple as that.
Steve says this, I don't know what's funnier, Porky playing a servant or him doing a non-speaking role.
What?
Hashtag can't stay quiet. That was the Downton Abbey scenario.
Oh, yeah, of course,
and, Harry says, sounds like Mike Perry's touting for work as an extra.
Yeah.
I've heard embarrassing bodies are looking for people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they are.
This is Talk Sport.
Very good.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
It's a wonderful night, you gotta take it from me. It's a wonderful night, come on and break it on down. It's a wonderful night, you gotta shake it from me. It's a wonderful night, come on and break it on down. It's a wonderful night, everybody can see.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out later on. Heroes and Villains coming up in the next hour. I hope you've got some prepared.
Yeah, indeed.
This is where we do 2 heroes, 2 villains each. Dave, the producer, chooses which ones he thinks are better.
Yes.
Here's one from Matthew. Kids these days are as thick as the ice on the lake. Well, it's not just the kids, it's their fathers as well.
Of course it is. Their parents watching them. It's ridiculous.
And then he adds on the cleaning front, the naked cleaning. He said, if you can see the cleaners at work, you'd pass and I'd clean the place myself. I mean, in terms of having them...
I wouldn't have naked people in my premises, put it that way. I think it's disgraceful.
And Becky says, I went ice fishing on Lake Winnebago in Wisconsin. We drove a truck out onto the ice. It was that thick. Well, scary as hell.
That's fine. Where there's a record of, the Great Lakes or something like that, where the ice thickens to 2 or 3 feet, that's fine. I mean, the famous story is that in the 19th century, they used to light bonfires on the River Thames because the ice was so thick, even a fire didn't
and they could walk
melt
across
it.
it.
They walk across it.
Shops on it.
Yeah, that's right. All that kind of stuff, because that's what used to happen. But that's not the case today.
Well, it's not really. And also, it thawed pretty quickly today.
Yeah,
I woke up this morning and took the kids to school. It was very foggy. And very, very frosty.
Yes.
But by about 11 o'clock, the sun had been strong enough to melt all the ice.
Exactly.
And the temperature had gone up by about sort of 7 or 8 degrees.
No, that's right, because I can always tell by my bird bath situation.
Yeah, was it frozen when you left tonight? I mean, I got to London.
Frozen solid.
Was it?
Yeah,
because I left, when I got up to London tonight, I got out of the car and thought it was possibly balmy.
No, well, I suppose being down in Stockbroker Belt, where it has a sort of microclimate, it could have been different.
Yes, could be.
Now, listen, I've got another one of these situations here which drive me mad.
Well, I'm going to ask you about the old Trident situation because, so far we haven't mentioned it. And
no, we
obviously
haven't.
You, with your vast array of naval contacts,
I
may have some interesting input for this one.
I'll tell you about that in a minute, definitely, because I do have contacts in naval intelligence,
Yes.
you're right. But what I wanted to talk to you about was this £250 million government housing development, okay? It's a project which is helping people who can't afford houses to...
Where is this?
Get their home. Well, it's in Stoke-on-Trent.
Okay.
And it's being brought to an absolute halt, right? The government housing development project ground to a halt.
Why?
Because of bats.
Bats?
Yep.
I like bats.
A protected species were discovered nesting in derelict homes, which are going to have to be knocked down to rebuild.
Oh, well, they can't knock them down now if they've got bats in them.
8 brownfield sites in Stoke-on-Trent were set aside by George Osborne, who I want to talk to you about George Osborne.
Yeah, he made a sort of reappearance over the weekend.
Oh, this man who's going out now and earning a fortune
Yeah.
by trousering huge fees for speeches and all that.
Right.
He's still a serving MP.
Yeah, right.
And he's now joined some, international sort of company on, advice and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
and it's going to be earning more. So
Didn't he get everything wrong when he was Chancellor?
well, he turned up, didn't he, at some very posh do the other day in a pair of trainers. But anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, it's irrelevant that George Osborne's involved. It just so happens he was Chancellor when he set aside money for the development of 1,200 homes, right?
Right.
As long ago as 2015. Work has now stopped after ecologists were called in to identify the animals, and bat boxes were erected. Bat
Sorry,
boxes,
say that again.
Bat boxes were erected, OK?
Yeah.
The delay has frustrated residents. One said, "We have waited 5 years for these houses to be demolished, for the new development to be put up, only for bats to stop it." Now, this is a ridiculous
you can't harm
response
bats.
to
you've got to keep
wildlife and nature.
you've got to look after bats.
No, you should set fire to them. I've said this before.
I thought you were supposed to be some kind of, animal rights type.
I am.
But you've got to set fire to bats.
But 1,200 homes are due to be built, and they're for people who struggle to buy homes on the commercial market. It's a government-aided scheme.
They waited 5 years. They can wait another couple of years.
No, they can't.
Why
This
not?
is outrageous.
Why
the
is
fact
it?
that a few...
What, you actually feel sorry for these people?
Do you know what? Most people I do feel sorry for
Why?
them. Most people in this country have never seen a bat.
That's not true.
I've never seen a bat.
How do you know?
What do you mean?
Well, how do you know you've never seen one?
Because I've never seen a bat.
You might have seen one and not realise it was a bat.
I have never consciously seen a bat.
I've seen loads of bats.
Have you? Where'd you see them?
They fly around where I live in Sussex. I've seen them in London. I've seen them when I lived in Wiltshire years ago. I had a couple that lived in the sort of wooden garage.
Well,
that we had.
that's fair enough. If that's their natural habitat.
I've also been on a bat hunting walk with David Bellamy. Do you remember David Bellamy?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
he was a great guy, and that was up in the northeast of England.
Like that. Let's go see the bats.
And he was
Can't burn the
fascinating.
bats.
I took my kids on holiday once to one of those kind of caravan parks. And it was up near Alnwick Castle.
Yes, I know Alnwick. Yeah.
Just up the road from there. And part of the deal was you could go on this nature walk with David Bellamy.
Oh, I see.
And it was all about bats. It was fascinating.
Brilliant.
They're wonderful creatures.
But I'm sorry, but when they're fascinating creatures, but there's millions of them. So if you get rid of a few in Stoke-on-Trent, it's not going to. They are. It's not going to change the ecological pattern of the world.
Well, no, but you can't just kill things off because you want to build a few houses.
All right, we'll send somebody in then to collect the bats and go and put them in a belfry somewhere else.
A belfry?
Bats in the belfry is a famous expression, isn't it? That's where they live.
Well, they normally live in a cave, actually.
All right, we'll put them in a cave then. But I mean, what they're doing in these
be very
derelict
careful
old
going
buildings...
into a cave because you can be overcome by the fumes in a cave where the bats live.
Well,
you know that, don't you?
I didn't know that, but I don't care about that. Put on a protective suit or something like that. But the point is, this could hold up this development for 2 years.
Have you been to Stoke, by the way?
Yes, I have been to Stoke, yeah. Been to the football ground
What do you make
in
of
Stoke.
Stoke?
Well, are you going to insult Stoke now?
That's not what I'm going to do.
No, what are you going to do? So why did you ask the question if you've been to Stoke?
Why are you being so aggressive?
There's nothing wrong with Stoke.
There is a lot wrong with Stoke.
It's one of the 5 towns of the potteries.
You've done this before.
Yes.
You couldn't name them, could
Burslem,
you?
Hanley.
You couldn't name them.
I did.
No, you didn't. You got about 2, I think, last
Port
time.
Vale, Stoke. See, that's 4 already. Yeah.
So?
Well, there'll be a 5th one.
There will be, if there's 5.
Yeah.
But you don't know it.
Yes, Trentham.
Eh?
Trentham.
Yes, are you sure that's right?
Definitely.
Okay. No, I had the misfortune of going to Stoke for a couple of meetings when...
what do you mean, misfortune?
Well, I didn't think much of it.
Well, how can you say that about a great industrial town that was once
Maybe I was just
and probably still is the centre of the ceramic world.
Ceramic world?
Yeah.
Well, I don't really want to live in the ceramic world or live in the real world.
Royal
if that's all right with you.
Dalton, that's all produced in
Royal
Stoke.
Dalton?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know that.
It's good stuff.
Well, it may well be. I mean, people even in Stoke say on a clear day you can see across the street. It's not a very picturesque part of the world, I'm afraid.
But we're not talking about what sort of a city Stoke is. We're talking about this bat
because you're
project.
saying that they want to build these houses in Stoke.
They should get rid of these bats. I mean, literally.
They should be honoured to have bats.
I would go in with a flamethrower and the bats could fly out. No, just to encourage the bats to fly out and then go find somewhere else to live. They do not have to live in these derelict buildings.
Yes,
somewhere else in Stoke.
The whole Stoke area.
No, somewhere else in Stoke. Go and find somewhere else for them to live. Some other derelict building.
Are you not fascinated by the way bats get around?
No, I think bats are
the idea that they
and...
have radar. I'll tell you what, by the way, my son saw a creature in the fields around the house yesterday.
Oh, yes.
Which I'm saying is... Remember I told you a story years ago that I saw a kookaburra crossing the road?
A what?
A kookaburra. It's a sort of South American giant rodent.
Ooh, God, no.
Well, don't say ooh. It's a very interesting-looking creature. And everyone sort of, made fun of me.
Something out of a
and said I couldn't possibly
horror
have seen
film.
it. But the creature that he described seeing today in a field, it was just about dusk.
Yes.
And I brought the dog out, and then the creature ran away.
Yeah.
but he described it as being almost rabbit-like, but very, very much bigger than a rabbit.
Right.
It had sort of rabbit-like ears, right?
Yes.
And it had a roundish body.
Yeah.
But it was about the sort of kookaburra size, which means it was about sort of 2 feet off the ground.
Good God.
And about
where do these things live?
Length of a dog. They're South American, generally speaking.
Yeah, but where do they live?
What do you mean, where do they live?
In a ditch, a drain, or whatever?
Well,
where
they live in animals. They live in the outside. I mean, normally speaking, you would see them near a river. It's a giant rodent. I saw one very similar to in Mexico.
I should go and get a farmer and get his gun and shoot it.
No, why do you want to shoot it?
Well, it sounds revolting, creatures like that.
Well, it's not like a giant rat.
That's what it sounds like.
No, it's a giant rodent, which is not the same thing.
Well, a rodent and a rat are the same thing.
No, they're not.
I think they
a
are.
rat is a type of rodent, as is a kookaburra.
Anyway. But anyway, these bats...
I thought I was quite fascinated by it.
Well, it's quite interesting.
He was full of it. He came in and he said, I think I've discovered a new animal.
Yeah.
Because he said it was so unusual looking.
Yeah. Was he not shocked and frightened?
Well, he was not really frightened. He was kind of curious.
Yeah.
You know?
Which of your sons
The younger one.
Right, okay, yeah, fine. But, I mean, I just cannot understand how a £250 million housing development to provide people with homes can possibly be held up by a bunch of bats.
Well, hang on. How about this from Andrew, who says, "Are you nuts, Porky? Bats completely control the insect population and are harmless to humans."
Yeah, I'm sure they are, but
so
there's
if you take the bats away,
a vital housing development.
No, but it's not vital, is it?
It is.
Well, it's taken 5 years already, and they haven't done anything. Why? What were they doing for the last 5 years?
They've only just discovered they're there, and they've had to now stop the plans to redevelop this site.
But what about the plans to redevelop the site? I mean, how useless are these planners if they haven't done anything in 5 years? They've only just now discovered that there might be bats there.
No. It was given the go-ahead in 2015, and they've been planning it ever since
then.
Well,
that's 2 years ago.
And
what have they been doing?
No, they found the bats, and they've been trying to, sort out the resolution to the problem with the bats.
Well, listen, if
but
you're
now
on the
they've
site...
found they've got to leave them there.
Well,
I think it's an absolute disgrace.
Well, why can't they just find another site?
I think it's an absolute disgrace.
If they were in any way actually
Because this is a brownfield site, and we want to develop brownfield sites.
We do we?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know we were in league with Stoke City Council.
Yes, brownfield sites are redeveloping areas already within the city.
Well, there's thousands of those. Why don't they go find another one?
No, you don't want to go and, start building on the green belt and all that kind of stuff.
No, I said, why don't they find another brownfield site? I'm sure Stoke's full of them.
That George Osborne, by the way. He has signed
just completely ignore everything I say.
No, I'm not ignoring everything you say, but there are important issues. He has signed up to BlackRock, the world's biggest fund manager, and will get £200,000 a year for working 1 day a week.
Well, good on him.
And he is still
if
an
I could
MP.
get £200,000 a week for working one day a week, I'd do it as well.
In the House of Commons, representing his constituents. I mean, it's a damn disgrace, isn't it?
Why is it a disgrace?
It's a damn disgrace.
How is it a disgrace?
This is a man who failed as Chancellor, because
if he wishes to run for
any good, he'd still be there now.
Well, no, he fell out with favour with Theresa May, and she's, how politics works. He's not her guy. He was David Cameron's guy. I didn't particularly like him. I think he was very good at his job, but he's elected by the people of his constituency, and until such time as they elect somebody else, then he can work there. And if he's only going to take up 1 day a week doing his other job, then presumably that's a good thing. Yes. It's not like he's working for them 5 days a week.
Is it? He's only working there 1 day a week. He's getting an awful lot of money for it, isn't he?
Well, why are you envious of that? I thought you didn't like people who were envious.
Well, I just don't like people cashing in on their positions in public life. We employed him as the Chancellor. Yeah. We, the people.
Well, we didn't.
We, the taxpayer.
No, we didn't.
We did.
No, we employed him as an MP. He was appointed Chancellor by David Cameron, your mate.
And then we paid his salary. David Cameron was never my mate. And then... on the back of that, and on public service, it goes off and cashes in, to a huge extent.
Yes.
It says that ever since
by the way.
Ever since he stepped down as Chancellor, right? Ever since he stepped down as Chancellor, he's earned £600,000 on the US lecture circuit already.
Well, why does that bother you so much?
Well, because, it's cashed in on public service. That's not right.
OK, this is Talk Sport. Talk Sport. We've got loads of tweets. You can find us on Twitter, of course, at the two Mikes, at Mike Parry, at IROMG, and look for us on the Facebook page as well, where there's always lots of things going on. Sam says, best impression yet, Porky. It was as if David Bellamy was in the studio with you.
Yes, I thought it was.
And Ben says, he was terribly bitter, actually. He was very bitter, funnily enough, because I ended up having a drink with him afterwards. We'd been on the tour of the Bat scenario.
Yes.
And he was very bitter about being dropped by all the TV companies companies he used to work for because basically they were sort of snobbish about the way he spoke.
Oh, that's right.
And they thought he was too old.
Yes,
because he was very good, wasn't he?
World expert in most things to do with nature. And, I like to show people exactly what's out there in the fields and watching the hedgerows, and that's exactly what I do. And I don't know why I'm not on television anymore.
Exactly. Well, that's more or less exactly what he said. And I mean, you can have some sympathy with him. He was great with the kids. He was fantastic.
Yeah,
they loved him. Ben says, do these ceramic penguins Parry went on about come from the centre of the ceramic world?
Ceramic world? Yeah, I don't think so.
How about, Francis says, how about relocating the bats to the belfry of the church next to Goodison Park? Would Polky agree with that?
Well, there is a church.
Well, then, if it was the new one, of course, they wouldn't be able to make the new Goodison Park work.
No.
Duncan says, do you think you deserve... I think you deserve 200k a week for working with the plank Mike Parry. I couldn't do it.
I think that's a bit harsh. It says here, Porky, you're waffling on some awful Biloxio tonight, says Mark. Well, I'm sorry, mate, but you've got to apply yourself to the subject and then you'll understand the logic of what I do and say. It says here, send David Cameron and Prince Philip to Stoke on a shooting trip. They'd soon sort out the bat problem.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's true. And some guy calling himself Mayor Domino, tell Fatso MG that the chupacabra is a mythical animal that doesn't exist. Well, that wasn't what I said it was, actually, Domino, so you need to watch your ears out. Otherwise, you won't exist soon either.
There's one here that says some bloke was walking across a field some years ago. Have you read that out?
No.
What your son saw running across Pipe Age Golf Course in Birmingham, I saw 3 years ago. I was out on the golf course on a 4-ball, big ugly thing. Scared the bejesus out of us. Thanks, MG. Now we know what we saw.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, here's what a kookaburra looks like. Look. It's actually...
God.
No, it's a beautiful-looking creature.
No, it looks like a little donkey.
Well, no, it looks a bit like a sort of cross between... It doesn't look like a rat, does it? I mean, it looks a bit like a cross between a... it's got a rodent's kind of head.
Yeah.
But it looks almost like a sort of llama-like, doesn't it?
A bit like the Loch Ness Monster.
No, it's not.
There's one here, and it says, hi, guys, just to fill you in. The potteries, the 5 towns are Longton, Hanley, Stoke, Burslem and Tunstall.
There you go.
Probably
you
the greatest...
Those right, did you?
Well, no, not quite. Probably the greatest conurbation on planet Earth. That's from somebody who's obviously very proud to live in the potteries.
Probably the greatest conurbation on planet Earth.
Yes.
What about Greater Los Angeles?
Yeah, well...
I mean, that's quite nice as well.
It is indeed.
You'd have to say.
Yeah, but of course, it's at the heart of the...
I'm thinking of planning a trip out to LA, actually.
The British Industrial Revolution. Who are?
Me.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
What for?
Well, because my son's living out there now.
Oh, of course, yeah, that's right.
So I'm thinking I might head out there at some point.
Yes. No, that's a good idea. Listen, I want to draw your attention to something, please. It's a report in tomorrow morning's Times.
Yes.
And as you know, I take quite a lot of notice of what the Thunder often
You do
publishes.
often refer to it, yes. But no bad thing.
Yeah, but this is a strange story which I haven't seen anywhere else. It says... England players will be warned today to start curbing their mobile phone use if they want to win the 2019 World Cup.
2019 World Cup?
Hang on, no, who plays in 2019?
Are you talking about the Rugby World Cup?
It must be rugby, you're absolutely right, yeah, rugby. It says, Dr Cheryl Calder, the England Rugby Union's visual awareness coach...
You're going to say Dr Cheryl Cole there for a minute.
No. Dr Cheryl Calder, the England Rugby Union's visual awareness coach, believes that the modern-day obsession with smartphones and tablets is leading to an erosion of skill levels and a breakdown in communication.
Uh-huh.
The England squad have been undergoing eye tests during the first 24 hours of their training camp in Portugal, and Calder will recommend restrictions on the use of mobile phones when she addresses the players today. She says...
Is this somebody that Eddie Jones has brought in?
Well, it must be, because he's obviously the controller of the squad.
Yeah.
She says, in the modern world, the ability of players to have a good awareness is deteriorating by the nature of mobile phones. We will be working really hard on awareness because awareness makes you effective, okay?
Right.
Now, I mean...
don't understand why that would be the case, though. I mean, does she go into any more detail? Because some people will say, in the same way that, for example, video games are actually quite good for training young people into how to operate things like fighter pilot.
Yeah.
You know, to be a fighter pilot, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it does, yeah. But it's something to do with the eyes. She says...
the eyes?
Yeah, because awareness makes you make effective decisions under pressure. We have seen in the last 5 or 6 years, when we assess elite players in different sports, there is a decline in skill levels. When you look at your phone, you are losing awareness because you're in here looking at the screen all the time.
Right.
You're not expanding your view of the world. There are no eye movements happening. Everything is static. We are losing the ability to communicate both through our mouths and through our eyes.
Oh, so you're talking about perhaps on the field of play they're not communicating with each other well enough.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you could say the same about footballers, maybe. That's the problem.
That's just what I'm saying.
Because, I mean, you see them all now. As we saw them on Runcorn Station.
Yeah.
They've all got their own headphones on.
Absolutely.
They're not talking to each other.
Absolutely. They communicate most of the time with their fingers through their phones. Young kids spend a lot of time on mobile phones, so those instinctive natural skills are disappearing. Excuse me. She says, there are definitely principles we want the players to follow. We advise players on what we think they need to be doing and how they need to perform. We periodise the training to lead up to wherever we're going. We've got until the World Cup in 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's so interesting. She's saying that, yeah, you're absolutely right. That was a good example. The Everton players on Runcorn Station, literally, every man was an island, weren't they? You know, you didn't get the feeling that they were intercommunicating
at all. And how often
do
we hear from various reporters that TalkSport has up and down the country, and even in the Euros and all of that, in the World Cup, where the mixed zone is where you wait for them to come and talk to you, and so many of them now just put headphones on and walk through and don't even acknowledge the fact that you're there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Difficult.
No, it's absolutely right. And favourite trick always used to be to, put a mobile phone to your ear, and as you walk through the mixed zone, you can make out that you're talking. But in fact, now they don't even bother. You're absolutely right. They have
Who
the
was it that was
headphones
caught
on.
the other day holding something up which wasn't even a
passport.
phone? Yeah, who was that?
It was a Celtic player, wasn't it?
Was it?
Wasn't it a Celtic player?
I can't remember now.
I can't remember now, but he was holding up the passport, making out it was a mobile phone, yeah. But, I mean, that is, I think we have to really examine and worry about the level of communication between children these days, because they simply do not communicate except on screens. Hey, by the way, on Wednesday it will be Porky Vision, right?
It will.
So I saw Apple Tree Yard.
Oh, yes, a lot of people were asking whether you'd be reviewing that.
Oh,
because it was billed, certainly on Twitter anyway.
Oh, yes.
As a very sort of a feast of Rogerisation.
Well, I'm saying nothing.
Are you?
I have to say I was slightly disturbed by it.
Were you?
Yes.
When's it set?
Well, it's set in modern day.
Oh, is it?
Modern day.
Oh, okay.
And
is it one of these tales of infidelity in a small town or something?
No. It's a huge town.
Oh, is it?
It's in London.
Oh.
And not only that, they're all government employees, or they work in the House of Commons. It's very high class stuff. You know what I mean?
Is it sort of House of Cards style?
A little bit like that. There are aspects of that to it. But I have to say that some of the things that happened in the first episode have left me deeply shocked.
Really?
And
sordid sort of things?
Well,
sordid orgies.
I don't want to say too much because, of course, Porky Vision is on Wednesday night. But, I mean, I have to say it's...
Well, I might try and catch you on the iPlayer before Wednesday.
Pushing the borders
really?
a bit. Well, when you see women, in restaurants departing to go off to the ladies' room purely to remove some of their underwear.
Well, they did that. Sharon Stone did that in Sliver.
Yeah, I know, but that was for effect. This is part of the plot. You know what I mean? I mean, it's.
Well, what do you mean for effect? It was part of the plot in Sliver as well.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm afraid that there's a bit of.
Are you saying you've never been out with a woman who's done that?
Not to my knowledge.
Really?
No, there's a bit of sordidity about this.
Sordidity.
This Apple Tree Yard. And by the way. You and I must have been to Apple Tree Yard because it's one of those squares behind the temple.
Is it?
Yeah.
Apple Tree Yard.
Yeah.
No, I used to go to a place around the back of Hatton Garden.
Yes.
Which had a yard in its name.
That's a very good bar, wasn't it? I went down there with you once. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's like,
you go right down Hatton Garden. It's on the right, and it's down a cul-de-sac or like an alleyway.
Well, it's in one of those yards.
That's right. Yeah,
I can't remember the name of it.
No, I can't either.
Yeah. How about this from Jim Shelley, who's one of the TV critics that we like to read about?
That's a great name.
It is a great name. Yeah.
Shelley was
he used
a great
to work
poet.
at the Mirror. But he's a TV reviewer, right? And he's saying on the Rod Stewart thing, right? Yeah. And he's one of those who I think believes that it was all a bit of an act.
Right.
He says, check out 1 minute 43. Rod peers into the glass bowl and picks number 3, giving his beloved Celtic a home tie.
Yes, that's right.
So, I mean, maybe that was what it was all about.
No. He said that, and even Brendan Rodgers said afterwards, Rod.
I'm telling you,
Rod Stewart, he seemed to be enjoying himself, and he gave us a home tie.
Yeah, but what if it was all a ruse?
We're very grateful for that.
No, but when we get him on the show, we'll have to ask him this question, because what if it was all a ruse?
It wasn't a ruse.
Pretend that you're a little bit the worse for wear, but actually ensure that Celtic get a home tie.
Well, I don't think... who says he was worse for wear? He was just very ebullient. The man's got a fantastic personality and character.
Well, everyone says he was the worst for wear.
Well, they can say what they like, but we've got no evidence of that. He hasn't admitted that to anybody, has he?
Yeah.
You know?
Rahul says it was Thomas Muller who was holding the passport.
Oh, Thomas Muller,
which,
was it?
as far as we know, doesn't play in the Scottish Premier League.
No, he doesn't. He certainly doesn't. No, that's absolutely right. But no, the sordidity of Appletree Yard, something I'm going to have to treat with great sort of delicacy on Wednesday.
All right. Okay. Well, we will be talking to Lisa O'Sullivan shortly because she's watching the Australian Open for us.
Great.
Where we've got some representation in the quarterfinals, but of course it's not Sir Andy Murray.
No, young Ms. Conter plays Serena Williams, doesn't she?
Johanna,
tomorrow?
yes, indeed.
Yeah, Johanna, yeah. There's an amazing picture, isn't it, on the back of the Daily Mail this morning? Serena
There
Williams.
is Serena Williams, yeah, very strange picture, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
Yeah.
The Two Mikes, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down, when you're strange.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes. Heroes and Villains coming up very, very shortly. 2 each apiece. Mr. Levine will then choose which one he likes better. Going back to our conversation about Primrose Hill, I meant to read this out earlier. Ray the Cabbie has texted into 81089. He says, Mike, I cruise around Primrose Hill all the time looking for a fare. I've picked up Robert Plant, Harry Enfield and Adamant. And if I pick you and Porky up, you're in for a Freeman's, as long as Porky doesn't bore me talking about Everton.
Oh, no, I won't do that. No, I'll talk to you about something else, mate. It'll be very interesting indeed.
Indeed.
Adamante?
Adamante?
Yeah. No.
Adamant lives, I think Adamant lives around Belsize Park, which is sort of the next bit up from Primrose Hill.
That's right,
That's where he used to live anyway, because remember when he got done for waving that fake gun around?
That's right.
It was in a pub.
And he threw a brick through the window,
it was in a pub. It was in a pub in Belsize Park.
That's right. Well,
so you think he hangs around there quite a bit.
Yes.
Lovely part of the world.
Oh, of course it is.
My sort of former manor, really. I can't afford to live there anymore.
That's right. Well, didn't our former editor boss, Nick, he lived halfway up Primrose Hill on the right.
Well, no, he was up Haverstock Hill. Which was the same road which is now occupied by Chris Martin from Coldplay.
Oh, is it?
He lives there now, yeah.
What, in that house?
In that road.
Oh, in that road, I see, yeah.
Because our good friend Kevin O'Sullivan still lives there.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
How can he afford a house up there?
Well, he bought it about 1981 or something.
Oh, I see, right, okay, yeah. Because when Sir Nick lived in that house, in whatever street it was, do you remember the name of the street?
I do, but I'm not going to give it away.
Okay, that's fine. And I remember I went to the house a couple of times for parties and things like that.
Isn't that the place you were where you were then left but to your own devices after everybody else went to a proper dinner?
Well, me and Craig were.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just said, just get on with it.
Yeah.
They had a huge stock of wine and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but they didn't want you to go to dinner then,
No, they disappeared to go to dinner. They got a phone call at very short notice to go and join Lord What's-His-Name, the great PR guru who won Mrs Thatcher 2 or 3 elections.
Yes, I know the guy you mean, Tim somebody?
Tim Bell.
Lord
Bell.
It, yeah.
And we were just left sitting there. But
who
anyway,
had a rather unfortunate experience of his own on Hampstead Heath, didn't he?
He did, I'm afraid.
We'd best not mention that.
He nearly fell out the window, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, that's right.
He was doing something very odd by the front of the window.
That's right. Yeah.
He was noticed by a woman on the road.
But anyway, the point of my story is Nick became a little unpopular in that house he was in because at the height of both his power and fame and that of John Majors, who took over from Mrs Thatcher.
Yeah. Was it not Thatcher as well, though?
No, it wasn't actually. It was John Major visited the house for dinner. So you got the Prime Minister coming, which means, like, 6 hours earlier, the Secret Service turn up, close off the whole road.
Close off the road, yeah.
And you can't take your car in, and there's a helicopter hovering over the street for the rest of the night, and you search and all this kind of stuff.
They don't like that sort of thing in Hampstead.
Well, it becomes very inconvenient, doesn't it?
Right, absolutely right.
Yes.
How about this from Trevor? He says, Milton Keynes is a new city, had its 50th birthday yesterday. Yeah. Please give it a mention, and it's a great place for a live show, he wants to tell us.
Well, not only that, but I, in one of my estates journals, estates being like land, property and all that.
Estates.
I saw a report over the weekend which said that new towns, and Milton Keynes at the head of it, have been the best for property value increases over the last 30 years.
I can't say I know Milton Keynes. The only part of Milton Keynes I really know is where the railway station is, which looks like a hideous kind of structure that would be not out of place in some kind of Pink Floyd video.
It's got a road grid very similar to Manhattan. It's got a road grid very similar to Manhattan.
Well, that's about the only thing it's got similar to Manhattan.
Yeah, that's right, but it's very straight lines.
Well, it's got a lot of roundabouts, hasn't it, as well?
No, not really. But
when I go to the train station, which I have a couple of times, all you do is you drive down...
What do you go to the train station in Milton Keynes for?
Well, I had to do it once, I told you before, when I was trying to get back to Glasgow when the flights were cancelled.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I took a taxi from Heathrow and said, take me to somewhere where I can catch the train to Glasgow.
That's right.
And Milton Keynes was the best place to go.
Yeah, right.
And I was there for another trip somewhere. I can't remember exactly why, but basically it was a hideous kind of just one roundabout after another.
Yes.
And dual carriageways where everybody's driving at 30 miles an hour.
Yes.
It just seemed really boring.
Yeah, okay.
Goffey lives there, I think, doesn't he?
I think, Darren Goff?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Well, he supports the MK Dons. I'm sure he does.
Well, he'll live in the country somewhere outside Milton Keynes, I would imagine, if anywhere. But that was also the place I went to that Everton fan club reunion.
Oh, yes, I remember you telling me that.
And everybody hated me because I bought all the memorabilia. I thought I was helping with the funds, but in fact I was denying the locals from their signed shirts,
Sammy has helped us out here with our memory loss. Bleeding Heart Yard, and the Bleeding Heart was the name of that bar.
That was the Bleeding Heart, absolutely
I used to go there quite a lot.
Yeah.
It was quite a good place for what could be described as surreptitious meeting.
That's right, because it was very near the Mirror, wasn't it, in the old days?
Well, I wasn't thinking so much of those kind of surreptitious meetings.
Yes.
I think. I was. That you weren't supposed to be having.
I was, yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, you all know what that means.
James also says, hello, Mike, you should watch a film called Anthropoid. It has your Peaky Blinders guy in it. It's a very good film.
Oh, okay. What's the name of the Peaky Blinders guy?
I don't know which one he means. I don't know whether he means Tom Hardy.
No, he means Tom Hardy.
Or whether he means Cillian Murphy.
No, he means Tom Hardy.
You sure?
I'm sure he means Tom Hardy. Yeah, I'm sure that would be it.
Did you watch Taboo, by the way?
Oh, Taboo, yeah, I've seen Taboo. Yeah, a bit confusing, but...
It is confusing.
Yeah,
See, I watched it again. I missed it on Saturday night because you and I were out at Crystal Palace.
Yes.
And by the time I got home and made something to eat and had some more to drink, I was in no fit state to watch anything.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
I did watch Match of the Day, but I don't remember watching the end of it.
No, because you were in bladderation.
I was a bit, yeah.
Yes,
I was a bit.
Well, we had a great day out at Palace.
Saturday night. It's not a big deal.
I want to thank them for it.
Apparently it is Cillian Murphy, by the way.
Oh, Cillian Murphy, is it? Okay, good man, yeah. Now then, what I was going to say is, Prince Charles, who I think most of the time, does a good job, and I think he'll be a good king. And,
I don't think he will. I think they should bypass him.
I think he definitely has a huge grasp of his responsibilities as the monarch and all that kind of stuff when he becomes the monarch.
Yeah.
But the latest thing is, he is obsessed by, like a lot of these trendy views on climate change and all that kind of stuff, So what his latest idea is, and he's actually suggested this, he says, we might be more inclined to think about the longer term of the implications of climate change if we were more aware of what is happening around us.
Yeah.
Perhaps daily weather forecasts could include a few basic facts about the Earth's vital signs or details of where climate change is increasing the likelihood of damaging weather. And I'm afraid that he's had a torrent of oppositional abuse hurled at him because of this, because it would apparently take so long to, put those sort of reports together in already very brief sort of weather reports, which is all the time.
Well, have you seen
given.
what Sadiq Khan's been coming out with for the last 24 hours?
What's that?
Sadiq Khan, the new mayor of London, has been issuing warnings to people to say that the air in London right now is so toxic that you basically shouldn't go out.
Shouldn't go out because there's no wind around to blow all the fumes away.
That you need to take precautions.
Yeah.
You shouldn't exercise. If you were thinking of running around London, don't do it. Okay. You should take public transport at all costs because your car will be responsible for killing people.
Yes.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
It is literally ridiculous.
I totally agree. In response to Prince Charles's comments, weather producer Chris England of Sky News said, this is crazy. We don't have time to do that. You can't directly link any individual event to global warming on a day-to-day level. As far as we are concerned, it would be a non-starter.
Yeah.
And other experts are saying the public don't want such information. They'd see it as propaganda forced upon them. And even veteran weatherman Michael Fish... Weatherman. Even veteran weatherman Michael Fish says it would probably... it would probably bore the viewers to death.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm afraid Michael Fish has previously been...
exactly, the man who couldn't spot the storm.
His expert views discounted.
That's right, yeah.
He's still, I spoke to him not long ago, maybe a year or so ago, about something or other. And it was about weather, but it wasn't about his blunder. But it still haunts him. He can't go anywhere without people asking him about it.
Of course it would haunt him. It was the most, catastrophic comment a weatherman's ever made.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Mrs. whatever her name was.
It won't be coming here.
From Cleethorpes.
It won't be coming here.
There isn't a storm on the way, no matter what your friend has told you. And then within 24 hours, about 13,000 trees had been felled across the home counties because of the strength of the storm.
What you might not have known about the dangerous nature of the air sort of control out there, right, and the quality of it. This is the first time a top-level alert has been declared under new measures to monitor air pollution in the capital, because he's also saying that if you're pulling up at traffic lights, you must switch your engine off.
Yes.
So it's not going to be long before they start actually penalising people for that. Do you know what I mean? He says this: the shameful state of London's toxic air today has triggered a very high air pollution alert under my new air quality warning system.
Oh, my new one.
Do you know what my father always used to say? He said any politician that uses the term "mine" is always to be watched.
Yes, that's right.
Because what he should be saying is our new air quality. It says mine.
Yes.
So it's all his, right? It's all down to him. He's the guy that's come up with this brilliant air quality warning system. You know, so
it is so typical because
he's not magnanimous enough to give the credit to anybody else.
I mean, have you ever seen an MP who doesn't push his own agenda? I mean, Cameron used to do it all the time, but fortunately, because I implemented a new system, and that's all they ever talk about these days. They don't see public service as the eventuality anymore. They see self-aggrandisement as the purpose of politics.
Well, what happens is
self-aggrandisement.
Once they've been in for a while,
not public service.
You don't get involved in any of that, do you? Self-aggrandisement.
No.
Once they've been in for a while, they also resent the idea that somebody can vote them out.
Yeah,
they think that should be outlawed.
Yeah, that's right.
They go,
totally
hang on a second. They might have wanted you to vote for them in the first place, but once they're in, they don't think you should have the right to get rid of them.
Totally agree.
Coming up is heroes and villains. Maybe there'll be some politicians in it. That music signifies only one thing. It's time for another episode of Heroes and Villains. As we said, it's 1-1 at the moment in the overall scores. We started this back in the beginning of the month.
Yes.
And we're almost at the end of January already. So
indeed.
I don't know if we've got time for maybe one more before the end of January.
Yeah.
But we'll see who goes ahead by 2-1.
Indeed.
2 heroes from you, 2 villains from you and from me as well.
Yes.
And then Mr. Levine will choose which one of us is to win.
Indeed.
Would you like to go first with your heroes and villains? What would you like to do?
Well, I'll go first with a...
I mean, because you think you let me go first last week, and then you complained that I'd stolen all your ideas.
Yes, that's right,
So I'm happy to go first again if you want.
No, I'll go first.
You sure?
I'll go first, okay?
Right.
I'm going to go first with my villain.
Okay.
Okay?
Go on.
My first villain is the captain of HMS Vengeance.
Oh, yeah.
Who let off the Trident missile, which actually went in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it went to America, didn't it?
Instead of going towards Africa and the Indian Ocean, it reversed on itself and headed back to Florida. It was catastrophic. It's caused a huge political row and embarrassment for Theresa May, the new Prime Minister, and the Defence Secretary, Michael Fallon. And we haven't yet had an explanation of whether or not this was known to the government as having been a catastrophic mistake before plans were put into place to renew the Trident fleet.
OK, well, I'm going to keep with that particular story, and I'm going to say that actually Theresa May is the villain of the piece here, because we have had an explanation that it was explained to her just as she was becoming Prime Minister, so that she was knowing, she knew about the fact that it had happened.
Yes.
She claims that she can't go into the details because it's, against the interests of national security.
Yes.
But it's hardly against the interests of national security. What she should have done, if she doesn't need brains and a decent PR, was to come out to the public and to the House of Commons and say, look, we're going to renew this. We want to renew it. We'd like you to pass a bill saying that it should be renewed. One of the things that has happened recently is that we were doing a test and one of the missiles went off in the wrong direction. But actually, that's why we do the tests.
Yeah.
There's no point in doing tests if you don't uncover what's wrong with the system.
Okay.
Now that we've uncovered what's wrong with the system, there's even more reason that we should actually renew it, if that's what you want us to do.
Right.
So I think the fact that she's been less than economical with the truth,
candid,
has actually harmed her cause more than it has the cause of the naval captain. And I'm staggered that you would actually attack the naval captain for doing his job.
Oh, no. He was in charge of his boat and he was in charge of the missile. The missile went the wrong way. I'm sorry. It was his fault. He's a villain.
I see. All right. Well, you got another one to do.
Right.
You can do a villain or a hero.
I'm going to do my first hero.
Your first hero.
My first hero.
Go on.
Rod Stewart, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I won't have any of this nonsense about old Rod had a drink and all that. I don't care if he had or not. He made the Scottish Cup draw the most entertaining and lively draw of any cup competition I've seen over the last 2 or 3 decades. He's a terrific entertainer.
He's a hero for putting his hand into a glass bowl full of plastic balls.
He's a terrific entertainer, and he livened up my day and livened up everybody else's day. Rod Stewart, number 1 hero.
OK. I'm going to go for my first hero from the world of sport, and that is Bernie Ecclestone.
Right.
Bernie Ecclestone, a man who some people don't like, a man who has done incredible things for motor racing. I mean, he basically built it up from being, a very successful sport into a multi-billion-dollar business.
Yes.
He's now been he's been replaced by Chase Carey, who is, of course, working for the John Malone outfit, Liberty Media. He's 86 years old.
Yes.
I mean, he shouldn't really still be chief executive of Formula One, but he is going to still have, as you said before, some kind of titular sort of
Chairman
honorary
Emeritus
type role, which
like
means that he'll still be associated, which is quite a classy way to do it.
Yes.
But it's time to probably remove him. But I think you have to say that this is one of the foremost administrators in sport, and he's done a fantastic job with Formula One, and we should just tip our hats to him.
Yeah, if I was Donald Trump, I said earlier in the show, I'd get him over to America to advise on how to run things, because he's very good at running things.
All right.
Right, I'm going now for my second hero, OK?
Go on.
My second hero, believe it or not, is the new Swansea manager, Paul Clement.
Paul Clement?
I mean,
it's the guy that you were slagging off last week?
I've never slagged him off in my life because I've never known anything about him.
You said he was very underwhelming, and you said that he didn't appear to be very managerial when he was interviewed.
Well, he went to Anfield and amazingly defeated Liverpool on their home ground for the first time this season.
That was incredible, yeah.
An incredible game in which he went 2-0 up. You could say, that was a bit of luck, just caught Liverpool on the blind side twice. But there were 2 very well-constructed goals, particularly the second. And then, when Liverpool got it back to 2-2 and had all the momentum that the home team would have coming back from a 2-goal deficit, he still managed to get his players so well organised that they withstood the Liverpool pressure and even regained the lead and won 3-2. If that's not heroic status, I don't know what is.
Well, I don't think you do know what is, because I'm amazed that you've gone completely about-face with somebody like Paul Clement. You do know plenty about him, because you know he was at Derby, you know he was at Real Madrid, you know he was at Chelsea, you know he was at Bayern Munich for a while.
Yeah.
What's there to know?
Well, what I do know now is that the boy's got a winning streak in him.
OK. Well, I'm now going to have my second hero, and it's actually a heroine, if you don't mind the change of gender for that in this day and age, and it's Johanna Konta, because she has done brilliantly well. She's been playing pretty good tennis.
Well, she's only got to the quarter-final.
She's only got to the quarter-final. When was the last time a British woman tennis player got to the final stages of any Grand Slam?
Quite a long time ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So therefore, I think it stands out a little bit more than winning one football match.
Right.
She's up against Serena Williams, and actually, she's not being written off at the moment, because I was listening to Greg Rosetsky on the Sports Breakfast yesterday, who said if it comes down to a question of movement, a question of mobility, Johanna Konta is actually going to be in a position to win, because she's much more mobile than Serena Williams. And we know Serena Williams is an amazingly talented and brilliant player.
Right.
But, I wish her all the best, and hopefully, when we speak to Lisa O'Sullivan tomorrow, perhaps she'll be on her way to the semi-finals.
Well, indeed.
So she's my choice.
Indeed, OK.
Yeah.
So my second villain now, OK? Yeah. My second villain is, I'm afraid to have to say it, Andy Murray.
Andy Murray?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I mean, when he was gifted...
Sir Andy Murray to you.
Yes, Sir Andy Murray, when he was gifted the ability to take the Australian Open to add to his portfolio of Open victories, 2 Wimbledon, 1 American so far.
Well, the second Wimbledon was the Olympics, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
No, 2 Wimbledons and 2 Olympics, actually.
Oh, OK.
Yeah, and the US Open, and he could have, expanded that portfolio and got closer to the Grand Slam. And Djokovic went out of the tournament. It was an open door. He was pushing an open door. And what happened?
But isn't that a bit disrespectful to all the other players?
No. What happened was he somehow managed to get an open door to smack him in the face and knock him out. And that must have been the biggest shock of his career. So I'm awfully sorry, because I've got huge respect for the guy.
You did say he was going to win it as well.
I think he's a terrific inspiration to all British sportsmen and a true champion. But on this occasion, I'm afraid, for that week, he's been a loser.
OK. Well, it's not losers and winners.
I know, but he's been a villain for losing.
My final villain is going to be only one woman. So I'm going to keep it. It's going to sort of equal opportunity here, because you know how a lot of women this weekend have been moaning about equal opportunities. It's Madonna. Madonna, a woman who is very well past her sell-by date,
Indeed.
musically speaking.
55 years
I
of
don't
age.
mean that in the sense of her being 55.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
musically speaking, she's well past her sell-by date. She's no longer at the cutting edge of really anything.
Yeah.
However, she decided that it would be a great idea to speak at this rally over in the United States of America, where she said, "I'm angry, I'm outraged, and I've thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House." Now, it turns out that the Secret Service take those kind of things quite seriously.
I would go and arrest her right now.
They have said that they're going to investigate. I mean, it's pretty stupid. It's a bit of a waste of money because nobody expects her to blow up the White House.
No,
However,
but she could put that stupid idea into somebody else's head just by mentioning it.
You know, the point is that, it's a very irresponsible thing to say. It's stupid to sort of jump on a bandwagon in which, she's actually going to end up causing all kinds of problems. She then had to issue an apology, effectively, to say that she wanted to clarify some very important things. I'm not a violent person. Yeah. I do not promote violence, and it's important people hear and understand my speech in its entirety, rather than one phrase taken wildly out of context.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, Miss Kiccioni, taking one sentence in which you say, yes, I've thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House, you don't take it out of context.
No.
That's a sentence.
Exactly. You know, if you're in the queue at an airport and you've had a few drinks and you say to one of the security staff, hey, he's got a bomb in his bag, you should rightly get arrested and taken away.
Also, considering the way that she has made an awful lot of her famous, album covers, photo shoots, the book Sex that she did, where she was draped herself all over the various different things,
radiators
walls,
and all sorts of
radiators.
things. Yeah, very.
For her to talk
stuff.
about, sexism in the way that she has been, I think is a little bit rich, to be honest.
I agree.
So I think she's a villain. So you think she's a better villain than yours, then?
No, not at all.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was what you meant.
Not at all. But I will, be an honourable opponent to you and say, okay, I'm not necessarily slagging that off.
Yeah, I think mine are much better than yours.
No,
but
mine are better.
See.
Mine are better.
Mr. Levine will choose.
Yes, well, he better choose right.
During the next period, and then he will bring a piece of paper in, which will have the name of the winner of Heroes and Villains on it. Do you concur? This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Baby, you and I are not the same. You say you like the sun, I like the rain. So before we go, do it all again. You better catch your own train.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. I'm delighted to say, by the way, Mr. Parry, that after our a full start last week with the wine makers and the wine bottlers, the stuff that comes through the letterbox,
they managed to arrive here en masse without the wine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, which is not entirely their fault, but they're coming in on Wednesday night now.
Great.
So we'll be able to look forward to that. So you may wish, if you want to make your own way here without driving
my vehicle,
so you can taste the wine properly.
Maybe.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. And also, Sandra Lee's going to be along on Thursday.
That's right.
Live from Australia.
That's right.
So we'll be talking to her, mate.
Yeah, I'll talk to Sandra.
Yeah.
Enjoying that. Right, I've got an envelope in my hand.
Have you? Hang on, Dave Levine is here.
Hello.
Has he given you the envelope already?
I've handed him the envelope.
Why have you handed him the envelope?
It's sealed, don't worry.
You're supposed to hand it to him live on air.
Oh, sorry. Give it back and I'll give it back.
That's too late now.
No.
You know what Porky's like.
They can imagine.
I've kept my eyes on it.
You cannot give him any kind of piece of documentation officially without everybody else witnessing it. Otherwise, he might switch it.
It hasn't left my sight. He has.
You sure?
No.
Well, we'll see when the result comes out.
Inside this envelope is the name of the winner of tonight's competition for Heroes and Villains.
Yes.
I strongly believe it will be me, but I'm going to open the envelope anyway.
Oh, it's almost as exciting as Postman Pork, this, isn't it?
Right, I'm taking the slip out.
Yeah. What
I'm
does it say?
the slip.
Read it out.
No, I'm not reading it out.
Why not? Why not?
Well, this is rubbish.
What do you mean rubbish?
Says MG.
Well, that means I won it.
Be a winner. I don't know what sort of a judge you are, actually.
Well, because Madonna is an absolute
rubbish.
Well, who did you have as your two winners?
I had my two winners, right? I had the
Clement and Sir Rod.
I had Rod Stewart and Paul Clement, who are both big winners.
Right.
Paul Clement got the result of the season so far at Anfield. And as my losers, Andy Murray, who crashed out of the Australian Open when it was there for his to win, and the captain of HMS Vengeance. I can't see how you can have better candidates than that.
Well, he's not a villain for getting knocked out of the Open. Dave will explain.
Andy Murray got a bit unlucky. He got outplayed. The captain wasn't in control of the missile. He just pushed the button. So
He probably didn't even push the button.
Yeah, so Rod Stewart picked a ball out of bag, and Clement's team deserved the credit.
What
Whereas,
on earth has Madonna got to do with it?
Well, Madonna,
what's she got to do with it?
Madonna made a fool of herself on worldwide television.
Yeah.
Conta has gotten further than any British woman has got in a long time.
It's rubbish.
And looks like she's going to break into the top 10 on a permanent basis. Bernie Ecclestone has just moved on after an incredible career,
I think
translating F1. I'm not so enamoured with May. She wasn't PM at the time. But the other three... I'm
also,
afraid, Porky.
The cover-up is more important than is a bigger story than the actual incident, and that's why
I'd agree. But your other three overshadow all of Porky's. I'm afraid.
Rubbish! Utter blinking nonsense. Honestly,
well,
it's
good that you're so gracious.
It's
good that you're so gracious in defeat. You were very happy when he chose you 2-3 weeks ago.
Well, yeah, but that's because he got it right. Then he's got it wrong this time.
Well, it's only thank you, David. It's only 2-1.
Yeah,
right. So you're only one behind. Yeah. There's plenty of time left. How long are we playing this, by the way? Is it till the end of the football season?
It will be till the end of the football season.
All right. When is the end of the football season?
May the 18th.
I mean, there's no specifically summary type stuff going on, is
there? No. There's no competitions this year, is there? Right. Well, I mean, that's all very disappointing.
Well, I don't think you should be so disappointed. I mean, I don't think you should take these things quite so seriously.
Hey, did I tell you about Yuri Geller getting hit by that bolt of light?
You did mention that. Yeah. He didn't really develop it.
Yeah, well, I can tell you more about it. He says when he was a kid, right, he was just walking down a road and a large shining bowl suddenly appeared above his head.
A bowl?
Large, like, it was like a flying saucer type thing, And a figure appeared. It was a faceless figure, but it exuded what Yuri has since described as a general radiance.
Does he say where he was at the time?
Well, I think he was in Tel Aviv.
Was he?
Yeah.
Didn't anybody else notice this large light?
Well, no, he's on the road on his own. There's a lot of
Well, Tel Aviv's a pretty busy place.
Well, yeah, but on the outskirts, there's a lot of desert and all that kind of stuff.
Desert?
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So he was walking in the desert. Has he written this himself, by the way?
This is his book. So it was in Israel. It's opposite the Geller flat, okay?
The what?
The Geller apartments that they lived in.
I thought you were talking about an area.
No.
Like the Golan Heights.
No.
The Geller Flats.
No, and there's an old Arabic house on the corner of the Yehuda Halevi Boulevard.
Yes.
It was surrounded by a rusty iron fence, and the tall grass towered over him, okay?
Yes.
As he walked into the field. So he says, I felt something above me, and I looked up. This is in the field, in Israel, near his home, okay?
Without any witnesses?
No witnesses.
Right.
He said, it wasn't the sun, it was something more massive, something that you could touch. It was really weird, like a sphere just hanging there, shining and strobing, and then it gently and silently drifted down towards the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Then something struck me. It was like a beam or a ray of light. It really hit my forehead and knocked me back into the grass. I picked myself up, ran home and tried to tell my mother what had happened. She refused to believe me. But then...
Well, she said, shut up, Yuri, go back to the cutlery drawer.
But then, years later, he was put under hypnosis, okay? And this time he described the light as a large shining bowl from which a figure appeared, faceless but exuding what Yuri said was a general radiance. The figure raised its arms above its head so it appeared to be holding the sun, and then became so bright that Yuri passed out. When he came, yeah. When
this is a load of old cobblers, isn't it?
Well, this is Yuri Geller. He's he's a very credible man in my view. When he came out of his hypnotic trance, Yuri listened to the recording of his session with the man who had hypnotised him, a chap called Andrija Puharic, okay?
Yeah.
And he said, I listened to the recording of my session with Mr. Puharic. He claimed not to remember, what didn't he remember? Anything he had said.
He didn't remember anything.
Anything, said.
Anything.
And when his voice on the tape began to describe the events in the Arabic garden, he became frightened and agitated. But anyway, it says... so Yuri Geller now believes the moment he was struck by the beam of light, it was the moment his powers were activated. Whether the phenomenon was purely physical... ball, lightning, for example, or something paranormal or extraterrestrial,
right.
It changed his life forever.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where he got his powers to bend.
Well, so he says.
From.
To be honest, I'm not convinced. I'd like to see the context of this so-called incident.
I have spoken to people, including, funny enough, somebody you mentioned a few minutes ago, Darren Goff.
Oh, yeah.
And Goffy told me they met Yuri Geller, one time when he was with the English cricket team. And he said he did genuinely pick up a fork, started stroking the fork, and the fork started bending in two.
Yeah, I've seen people I've also spoken to people who say that he can do that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that he's necessarily imbued with all sorts of special talent.
Well, how do you do that? How does anybody do that?
I don't know. I mean, but people who do magic, right, do things which you can't believe. I mean, I was in Turkey, right, on holiday.
Yeah.
And a guy was just walking around the little nightclub that we were in outside.
Yes.
With the kids and doing little tricks with coins and stuff like that. He put a coin underneath my watch.
Yes.
Without me realising he'd done it while I was staring at it.
That's right.
I don't know how he did it.
Well,
but it's sleight of hand.
No, I agree. It's. I watch Jonathan Creek sometimes, and some of the magic he does is explained during the show. It's quite interesting, really. And but those tricks, like that Dynamo guy.
Yeah,
he's a lad from Yorkshire, isn't
Dynamo,
he?
yeah,
or Manchester or somewhere
I'm
like
not
that.
sure.
But he talks very much like this.
You don't want to say Yorkshire or somewhere like Manchester, do you?
Yeah, working class.
I don't think I've ever heard him speak, actually.
Oh, I've heard him speak.
Well, what about David Blaine?
Like this. But hang on, let me just get on to Dynamo.
Yeah.
So, literally, I saw a programme one night. I mean, it was on television, so who knows what special effects they could have had. But he's standing on one side of the River Thames, and he's with a group of young ladies, and they say, "What do you do?" He says, "I'm a magician." And
that's just when he walks on the water.
No, that's explained. I think that was a glass panel underneath the water. I think we all know that. There was another one of him leaning on the side of a bus, but I mean, this is on the top level of the bus, outside of the bus.
Oh, yeah.
But then you find out there's a huge metal bracket.
Yes.
And all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, those are those kind of, what you would call very, very theatrical tricks.
Yes, that's right. But this one, right, so he's standing on the embankment, something like, the Albert Embankment or Victoria Embankment, right? And the girls say, "Oh, really? You're a magician. What sort of tricks can you do?" And he points across to, one of the buildings in the city.
Yeah.
Something like the cheese grater or, the gherkin.
The gherkin, yeah.
And he says, "Oh, I could change the colour of that building if you want."
Yeah.
And they say, "How damn ridiculous." He says, "Yeah, what colour would you like it?" And they say, "Red." And bang, he points at it, and it goes red.
But that's not magic, is it?
Well, how do you explain that?
Because there'll be a guy who he is talking to, right? He's mic'd up because it's being filmed, right? So there'll be a guy.
Swears he wasn't. You see, he swears that there isn't.
Well, he's being filmed.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
He's got a microphone.
It could have been, yeah.
So he can swear as much as he likes, but there'll be a guy with the ability to change the colour of the light on the gherkin.
Yeah.
That's not magic at all.
Yeah,
I mean, you might as well say the guys change. How do they change the colours in the studio?
Yeah,
it's like magic.
Well,
but for me, a guy who makes makes a coin appear beneath my watch strap, which I didn't even feel him doing, right?
Yeah.
While I'm watching him do it, and he's saying, "You watch me, you see what I'm doing here."
Well,
and I couldn't see him doing it.
You get these people at parties all the time, don't you? Do these card tricks, and it still amazes me.
I've never had somebody do a card trick at a party.
Oh, I have. What
sort of parties are they?
Oh, well, like you get some of these like cocktail party things when you're all moving around and you're having the can of peas and a drink,
A can of peas.
And some guy comes and he does all the tricks with these, pulling balls from behind your ear and all that kind of stuff.
What sort of party is this?
Oh, well, it's,
I've never been to a party like that.
Yeah, they hire magicians. And anyway, the magician comes down and he always says, "Pick a card out of that pack,
Any card.
And you do, that's right, And then pull it back and I'll chill it. And then he shows you the card that you've taken out the pack, which is 1 out of 52. I mean, it's amazing the way the guys do these things.
It is, yeah.
But there must be a way of learning it, I suppose.
How could you not pick Ronnie O'Sullivan, says somebody. Robbo in Dagenham.
Yes.
What do you pick? He broke Stephen Hendry's record of Masters snooker wins and 200 grand prize.
Yes, he did.
41 years of age.
Yes, pretty good.
So
he's
neither of you
Masters,
mentioned him.
I think, didn't
we didn't choose him because we didn't choose him. Sorry, you want to choose him. That's up to you.
Exactly.
Gloaty Sock says, so far as Yuri Geller is concerned, he actually bends it with his fingers while he says that he is not touching it or bending it with his fingers. It is that simple. Well, there is obviously, for all of these things, there is an explanation.
Yeah.
He doesn't have, the lightning rod of electricity running through his hands.
How do you know?
What do you mean, how do I know?
How do you know?
You're supposed to be somebody who is an intelligent, forward-thinking individual.
But he might have,
He might have what?
Unexplained powers that we don't know about.
Well, who else do you know that's got unexplained powers that we don't know about?
Well, this is why he's so unique, isn't it?
No, well, if there were unexplained powers that you could get, other people would have them.
Yeah.
He's not unique.
No, he's this lightning beam that hit him in the head when he was a kid. That could have been.
He says that.
Yeah, well,
he wasn't taken to hospital. Nobody found him. Nobody saw it.
Well, he's got his powers from somewhere.
Well, he might not have any powers. He might just be a guy who's very good at persuading people that he's got powers he doesn't have.
Look, if you can bend a fork by literally holding it and then surreptitiously bending it without anybody noticing, I'm sure there's more than one person in the world who would have picked that trick up by now. Aren't you?
Yeah, well, there probably are.
Well, where? Well, who else have you ever seen on telly bending a fork like Uri Geller does?
Well, there are many magicians around the world. We haven't seen them all.
Making watches stop.
I'm sure that people
and then
can
making
do
watches
stuff like
start again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, many
Clever
of these
stuff.
Things, yeah, but everything that has ever been done by any magician in the world can be explained.
Yeah.
Becky says this. I missed the last part of the bat discussion. I was in the toilet taking my underwear off. Did we decide Porky was batty?
Now, Becky, as familiar correspondent as you are for this show, it is a family show, please, and we don't really, like to peddle that sort of saucy.
Well, that was in reference to what you said about that show.
I know, but it's still saucy chatter.
It doesn't mean that she was actually doing it.
We don't approve of it.
How about this one from David? He says Australia Day is on Thursday. When you talk to Sandra, you need an Australia Day show.
Oh, that's
so
good
we can
idea.
celebrate Australia Day with her, can't we?
Yeah.
And also a couple of people saying that
Anzacs.
Eccleston was a great choice. He has to be a hero to anyone because who else could have made Formula One successful? And Peter says, you win, MG. Madonna was a disgrace. Tough call between she and old Porky getting a beat down from Steve Parrish as the loser of the week.
But you see, normally if I'd have chosen Bernie Ecclestone, you'd have said, oh, yeah, just because he's a billionaire, he's one of your heroes.
Is that why you didn't do it?
Hey?
Is that why you didn't pick him?
No, I didn't pick him because I thought there were better candidates, and in fact my candidates were better.
Yeah, well, you're wrong about that. This is Talk Sport.
Look at the light!
Don't forget to follow the Two Mics at the Two Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mics TV.
It's not going to change the ecological pattern of the world.
Well, no, but you can't just kill things off because you want to build a few
houses. All right, we'll send somebody in then to collect the bats and go and put them in a belfry somewhere else.
A belfry?
Well, bats in the belfry is a famous expression, isn't it? That's where they live. Most people in this country have never seen a bat.
That's not true.
I've never seen a bat.
How do you know?
What do you mean?
Well, how do you know you've never seen one?
Because I've never seen a bat.
You might have seen one and not realise it was a bat.
I have never consciously seen a bat.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
Talk